Studios. This is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Utah's governor has appointed the first director of the state's new Government Records Office, which replaces the former State Records Committee to oversee public records requests. Governor Spencer Cox has chosen Lonnie Pearson to lead it. He most recently worked as a staffer for former Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. Pearson was the attorney who represented the AG's office in a legal battle against KSL investigators who fought before the State Records Committee to see Sean Reyes' calendar last year.
The committee should definitely be asking itself right now, what is the ultimate authority's intent? And that is the legislature's intent.
KSL did eventually gain access to his calendar. Pearson says he's honored by the appointment to this office. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The man behind the attack of a Jewish group in Colorado is facing 16 counts of attempted murder and hate crimes.
The suspect, who investigators say originally dressed as a gardener to blend in, allegedly researched the Run for Their Lives group, who gathers weekly to promote awareness for the Israeli hostages in Gaza. Law enforcement says the suspect drove to Boulder from his home in Colorado Springs, picking up gasoline on the way. At the scene, authorities recovering a weed sprayer backpack containing flammable liquid, as well as 16 unused Molotov cocktails, which he allegedly learned how to make watching YouTube videos.
ABC's Mola Lengi reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow in the positive today, up 63 points to 42,368. Coming up, we still have slowdowns to tell you about from Lehigh to Midvale. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs, all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19,995. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at ArcticSpasUtah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah: Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Hi, I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, keep in mind, it's not just you.
My name is David. I was in trouble with the IRS. I owed about $140,000. It was a very stressful thing to know that you owed that much money to the IRS.
Don't face the IRS alone.
When I knew how much I owed, it was really, it's overwhelming. It's you worry about the whole, your whole world, what's going to happen.
With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
Everything was said and done, and with the IRS offered me to pay $4,000.
You need someone to fight for you.
Do not hesitate. Do not think it twice. Go see Jordan Wilcox.
Visit endtaxworry.com. Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today. That's endtaxworry.com.
Anybody that needs help in this situation, please go see him.
endtaxworry.com.
Looking for reliable home services you can actually count on? I've got just the team for you. Mountain Home Services. They've been serving Utah since 1954 with honest, upfront pricing and zero hidden fees. Plus, they back every job with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. With summer heating up, now's the time to get your AC in shape. Mountain Home Services delivers fast, expert air conditioning service to keep your home cool and comfortable. And don't forget, they also handle electrical and plumbing work with the same trusted care. And here's the best part. KSL listeners get exclusive limited-time specials, but you have to call and ask. These deals won't last, so don't miss your chance to save. Call 801-543-2222 today and tell them KSL sent you. That's 801 543-2222 or visit mountainhomeservices.com. Get the service you need and the deal you deserve.
See American Mosaic. This outdoor patriotic show combines talents of Jenny Oaks Baker, Family 4, Kirk Bester, Jason Wright, Ben Lomu, BYU folk dancers, and more. June 9. Tickets at jennyoaksbaker.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, your slowdowns on I-15 in Utah County now start in Orem. It's actually as you leave the Orem area through all of Linden to just before the Pleasant Grove exit. That's just a little bit under the speed limit. But then you are at a crawl from 2100 north in Lehigh over the point of the mountain all the way to the Bangor Highway exit. And then you will have a small gap where you start to get back up to speed and then slow down again from 106 South and Sandy up into Midvale from an earlier crash that's still over on the right shoulder. Southbound I-15 also has a little bit of slowdown right around the I-215 South interchange, but that's easing up quickly. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now today will be sunny with highs in the mid-70s. Tomorrow, much of the same. Right now it's sunny and 62 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Oh, you know it's going to be a good day when Greg Skordas is sitting to my left, our legal analyst, who, by the way, in case you haven't heard, is also taking over this chair along with our good friend Holly Richardson from the Deseret News starting Monday morning at 9 a.m. with an all-new Inside Sources. Hi, Greg.
Hi. I think it's going to be great because we're going to have a smooth transition between your show ending Friday and ours beginning Monday. There's no downtime. There's no lapse. We're just taking over where you left off and hopefully keep the momentum going that you've had for the last several years.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for being here today. I'm excited to dive into our top.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Local story. And this is the story that gets my blood boiling. Utah ranked 8th worst in the nation for starter homes. We have been talking about the starter home crisis on this very show for as long as I can remember, at least the last several years. And this Deseret News article does a really great job of A, getting my blood boiling, and B, highlighting what the younger generation is up against, Greg.
Does it surprise you, Debbie, that Utah's 8th? I mean, does it surprise you that we're that
yes.
ranked that poorly?
Yeah, because
you wouldn't think that Utah necessarily had this big income, but we do have our median home prices in Utah. I think we talked about a week or so ago are among the highest in the nation.
Well, I think we can look at this as we saw the train coming at us, but it surprises me in that we're the family-friendly state.
Right.
We want to cater to families here. We tend to do things to cater to families. We give families lots of options, for example, when it comes to how they school their children. Can they homeschool them? Do they charter school them? Do they put them in public school? Do they send them to private school? But when it comes to starter homes, for some reason, we have seemingly lost control of where things have gone over, and it's taken decades. I mean, Lisa Riley Roche of the Deseret News, she wrote this article. She does a great job of pinpointing some of the details of where we were and where we are now. So let me take you to the detail in this story that really stands out to me, Greg. And we have to go all the way back to my favorite era, the 1980s. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Ow! Another one bites the dust. Hey, hey! This was my favorite song of the 80s.
No surprise. I can see you dancing.
But it was also a time when in Utah, 25% of new homes that were being built were 1 to 2 bedrooms. That's a starter home.
Homes, right? Exactly. 25% in 1980.
You remember the 80s here,
right? That's when I bought my first home.
And?
It was in 82. Yep, starter home.
So just give us the taste of how big it was and how much you spent.
I think we spent in the 40s, 45, 47 $8,000. It was probably 1,500 square feet on the main level and a small basement. One of those split entry homes, really cute thing in Sandy. We loved it. We were so excited about it. And I thought to myself at the time, how am I ever going to pay off a $40,000 mortgage?
$40,000. But also the square footage sounds like right in the starter home neighborhood.
Exactly. Yes. It had like 2 bedrooms, unfinished basement, but you could make 2 or 3 bedrooms there. So it would have been a great starter home. Really a good home for if you had even 2 or 3 children.
So let's leave the 80s and the dust. And look at 2023, okay? Decades later. 5% of new homes that were being built
are starter homes,
or 1 to 2 bedrooms. 5%. So we go from 25%, a quarter of the new homes being built in Utah were starter homes in the 80s, to 5% in 2023.
A quarter of the quarter. I mean, that's amazing, and you have to wonder why. And there's a lot of reasons, and we can break that down a little bit. But I think one of the reasons has to be builders wanting to build starter homes when they can be building $1 million homes and making more money doing that. Also, Utah, if you think about the Wasatch Front, Debbie, we're kind of landlocked, and there just aren't a lot more places to put starter homes, and people just aren't incentivized to build starter homes. But I think the legislature and others, and we're going to break some of this down as we go on, are doing some things to try to encourage that.
We're going to take live phone calls in about 7 minutes, but get your phone calls lined up now. If you bought a home in the 80s or 90s like Greg did and I did, how much did you pay for it? How big was it? Was it in the $40,000 range and 1,500 square feet in Sandy like Greg's was? My first home, technically single-family home. I moved from a condo that I'd purchased into a single-family home when we got married. We bought it. It was in Cottonwood Heights. We paid right in the neighborhood of $157,000. It was 3-bed, 2-bath. It had so many stairs in that place. I lost count of how many steps. I mean, it was a multi-level.
So happy. This was big house, right?
It was also on, I believe, a little more than a third of an acre.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So we had a
big
plot
house.
of land on a dead end, on a cul-de-sac. So we scored.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what's happening now is this new generation. My kids, our kids, are having a hard time finding a home that they can afford. And this story really highlights what's going on. That we just don't have enough starter homes for the younger generation. And I worry it's going to create a generation of forever renters. Adam Small, live on the line, KSL News radio reporter who's been looking into this story and the Deseret News as well. You've been looking and reading this article. What in this article jumps out at you, Adam?
Well, Debbie, take it from another guy who is almost 30 and cannot afford a home in this state either. The big thing I always look at is home price and also the mortgage payment. So if we're looking at just the Salt Lake area, so this analysis by Construction Coverage, which the Deseret News had referenced in their article, the same research that I looked at this morning, they look at not only states and all of this data for home prices and everything, but they also look at cities based on market size. So looking at just the Salt Lake area, the median sale price for a starter home in Salt Lake, so this is a starter home is 3 bedrooms or less, $476,000. And if you make the median, what they call the median renter income, so basically if you're making the average income, the mortgage payment for that starter home is going to cost you over 45% of your monthly income. And I know a lot of places that want to rent out to people say you don't normally want to be paying more than a third of your monthly income to rent or your mortgage. But, I mean, the better part of half of your monthly income will go towards making your mortgage payment for a starter home. That is the biggest thing that stuck out to me, and that's just the Salt Lake area. Provo-Orem made top 10 worst starter home market for mid-size metros, and then Logan and St. George both made top 10 worst starter home market for small metros. So this is a statewide problem.
You know, and Adam, we can talk about inflation. It would have an impact on the price of starter homes. But in Utah especially, if you and I were having this same conversation even 10 years ago, it wouldn't be $100,000 less. It would be half or maybe a third of the price that you're talking about. I mean, hasn't the Utah market really just skyrocketed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Greg, I moved here in late 2020. Had I moved here maybe a year or two earlier, the cost of homes, I kid you not, would be at least $100,000 cheaper. It was really the pandemic ruined a lot of things. The housing market was one of them. COVID really just blew up everything. Home prices here in Utah completely changed. Obviously, I mean, you can go back and find data from all sorts of sources, you know, and it's just insane to think that, like, you know, if we're talking back, like, say, I don't know, 2018, you could probably, if someone, like, you know, wanted to talk about, hey, I want to find a house for, like, you know, sub 300,000, you probably could. Today, you're lucky to find one for less than $500,000. It's just where we're at now. But the fact that starter home, I mean, we're not even talking about like big, luxurious, like, you know, 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses. We're talking about 3 bedrooms or less, like a very basic home to get your family into, break into the market, and you're paying the better part of $500,000 if you're around the Wasatch Front. That's crazy.
Yeah. Adam, I sense the frustration in your voice, and I feel it for you as well. Adam Small, KSL News radio reporter, tracking the developments on this new report. Deseret News highlighted it as well, saying that Utah is ranked 8th worst state for starter homes. We're going to take live calls in just a matter of moments. 801-575-TALK. Again, 801-575-TALK. I really feel like if we can get you to call in and tell me and tell Greg how much you paid for your starter home in the 80s or 90s, and like how big it was, it will highlight the issue that our younger generation is facing now. Our first-time home buyers are facing now. Greg paid in the 40s for his starter home. I paid in the 150s, probably 10 years later, for our first starter home. His was in Sandy. Mine was in Cottonwood Heights. Where was yours, and how much did you pay? 801-575-TALK. We really want the 80s and 90s first-time home buyers to call in for this. But I also thought it was important to talk to Mayor Jeff Silvestrini, the mayor of Mill Creek. And Greg, the reason I thought it was important that we call him up today and invite him on the show is because Mill Creek is pretty much built out on the east side of Salt Lake County. So typically when we talk about starter homes, I think Eagle Mountain, I think Saratoga Springs in Utah County, I think Tooele County. But Mayor, what do you do in Mill Creek to invite the younger generation to either, you know, to move there, but also be able to afford home ownership there? What are some of the city's, you know, policies that you all are working on there?
So thanks. So, you know, one of the biggest costs of building housing is the land cost. And so if you're required to put a house on a big lot, it's going to cost more than a small lot. Some of the more affordable options for first-time home buyers are more dense developments, townhomes, condominiums, or just houses on smaller lots. So what we've done in Mill Creek is to provide essentially an incentive for developers to build more density on smaller lots. So where maybe one house was built on a quarter acre, half acre lot, we're allowing them to build maybe 4 units on that lot, provided in exchange for that density bonus, they agree to plat those units separately so they can be owner occupied, and then to either restrict them with a deed restriction or a covenant restriction to say that they have to be owner-occupied for, say, maybe 5 years or something. The problem has been that it's been the market has basically favored building rental housing. It's a lot easier for developers to do that. They don't have to go through the process of subdividing and platting the lots separately. And then there are a lot of other things that you don't have to do if you have an apartment-style building. You don't have to necessarily separately meter the utilities. There are some additional requirements on life safety things and code for single-family occupancy. So what we're doing in Mill Creek is to incentivize building smaller units and, in exchange for the density, restricting them. And, one of the problems we have here is it's just kind of like the auto companies. They make more money when they build an F-150 than they do a Ford Focus, okay? Developers make more money on a 3,000, 4,000 square foot house than they do on a 1,500 square foot house. So the market is going to control some of that. And so what we're trying to do is basically incentivize them to go a little bit smaller, but to make more units owner-occupied so that we have a good balance of rental versus owner-occupied properties.
Just real quickly, Mayor, what is the price point for these homes? Are they affordable for first-time home buyers?
So, it depends on where they are because of the land costs. In Mill Creek, it's very difficult to make them be affordable. We're seeing product that even townhomes that are now selling for $650,000, which is beyond that affordability range. So, we are trying to be creative in terms of what we can do. There's some state programs that I think you guys mentioned that are incentivizing developers to build smaller units so that they can be more affordable. We're shooting for affordability now in the range of $450,000, which is still, sounds like a lot of money. I bought my first house in 1982 for $53,000 in the Sugar Hood, right? About 7th East and 17th South.
You and I about the same time, Jeff. Yep.
Yeah, but obviously everything has gone up, but housing has gone up even more just because we've had a shortage of it. Right. Our population has been growing. It's still growing. And the housing market just hasn't been able to keep up with that demand. So the state's doing a lot of things, and I know that cities around the state are trying to do things in terms of removing impediments to regulatory hassles on building stuff. We still want safe product built, but we are shifting our focus to allowing building on smaller lots, and I know a lot of people hate the density, but
getting more people to be able to afford or get into those first-time homes, and the affordability is still a factor. Mayor of Mill Creek, Jeff Silvestrini, thanks so much for filling us in on what a city that's pretty built out on the east side of Salt Lake County is trying to do to get more homes built on smaller lots. Leroy, you live in Salt Lake. You're a home builder. How much did you pay for your first home, and where was it?
Well, I actually live in Riverton. I didn't buy incredibly long ago. I bought in 2017, but my cost has doubled, or my value has doubled since I bought.
Wow.
But one thing I would like to point out, the mayor actually just brought up a lot of it up, is a lot of this stems from the increase in the property values themselves. There is a very rule of thumb law in building that has been kind of the case for as long as I've been building, and I've been building homes for 25 years, is if you are building on a specific building lot, say it's a single-family home, if you don't build enough house to make that at least 3 times the value of the lot, then you're not going to make money on that build.
That's exactly what Greg was bringing
up earlier. It's nice to have a builder that can talk to us about that as well.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier, Greg. Kevin in Far West, how much did you pay for your first home, and what was the square footage? When did you buy it?
I bought it in 1986. It was 1,500 up, 1,500 down, split level. I paid $61,000, but that was with 2 acres of ground.
Okay, $61,000 in Far West, Kevin.
Yep.
Okay, so this exactly to my point. This highlights what new first-time home buyers are facing today compared to what we were facing back in the 80s and 90s. $61,000, $1,500 up, $1,500 down on 2 acres in Far West. Sarah, how about you? You live in West Jordan. How much did you purchase your first home for?
Hi. So I actually bought my house in 2020, but the funny thing was we were buying from the original owners who built this house in 1987. And as we were walking through the house, they were kind of laughing at each other saying, oh, we're so, it's crazy how much this house for, because we only paid $80,000 and we purchased the house for $410,000.
There you go. There you go. And you're
crazy.
Probably, and you're probably thinking $410,000. How did we get here? Mike in Orem, when did you purchase your first home, and how much did you pay for it?
1986, $53,500.
Unbelievable.
Mike, how big was it?
It's like 2 or 3 bedrooms, family room downstairs. I don't know the square foot.
Perfect.
And
size.
2 bedrooms upstairs. Hey, can you tell me what Dave Noriega's going to do?
Oh, Thanks for asking
He's
about
still
him.
around.
We'll pass it on. We'll pass that along to him. Thanks so much. David on my Facebook page says that his parents bought a new home in 1979 in American Fork for $90,000. Tara says her parents bought her dad's childhood home from the Harvard-Yale neighborhood in the Salt Lake City area for $85,000. In 1976, Scott says a 1,100 square foot unfinished basement in West Jordan was $27,750. That worked out to be a $276 a month house payment.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day.
He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Are you looking to invest in your home, increase its livability, increase its value, increase its curb appeal? Well, doors and windows are a great place to start, and there's no better place to start than Peach Doors and Windows.
Maybe the purpose of your home has changed. Maybe you're an empty nester, or you just want to maximize the view of your home. Bring Peach your wish list. Think about out-of-the-box shapes and sizes. What you can imagine, Peach Doors and Windows can make happen. They can do renovations that other companies simply won't touch.
You can check out all of their 5-star reviews on Google, where customers rate Peach throughout every step of the process. From sales to installation, they will make sure you get exactly what you want. Check out their website at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can give them a call, 801-566-1255. They do free in-home estimates.
Or better yet, check them out in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, or check them out online, peachbuildingproducts.com.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. News of recent layoffs reminded me of a quote from Bob Hope. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove you don't need it. A periodic check of finances can prevent big problems later on. How much debt do you have? What are the payments? Do you have a rainy day fund? What would happen if you lost your job or had other unforeseen financial issues? Mortgage interest rates have been coming down, and there may be a window of opportunity to look at your situation in terms of a possible refinance and restructuring of debt. If you'd like to go over your situation, give us a call or take advantage of our quick application at 4minutemortgage.com. It might help. There's one way to find out. Give us a call. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com, NMLS 289115.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath. It's all about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-day kitchen and bath.
It's about time someone offered you a complete custom bathroom designed for stylish independent living in just 3 days. It's about time someone offered you a written, unconditional 100% satisfaction guarantee on both their quality and craftsmanship. It's about time someone helped you design a safe and stylish bathroom with the luxury of a walk-in tub or the convenience of an easy entry shower. Whether you have an immediate safety need or you just want to prepare for an independent future in your own home, check them out on the web at 3daykitchen.com or call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath for your free design consultation today. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. It's about time.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. Forestry managers are trying to preserve more land around Zion National Park. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson reports.
Forest Legacy Program Manager Natalie Conlon says Utah Forestry, Fire, and State Land is being awarded $3 million to purchase a conservation easement. And it's a big win because subdivisions have started encroaching on the park's eastern border. The conservation area encompasses over 1,700 acres of protected land along the northern boundary of Zion National Park.
This conservation area will protect native species of plants, animals, and fish, as well as a tributary to the Virgin River, which has been designated as a National Wild and Scenic River. Local fire departments are preparing for the summer fire season, and they want homeowners to do the same. Salt Lake City fire crews have been knocking doors and handing out preparedness flyers. Unified Fire Department spokesman Kelly Bird tells KSL TV they've been clearing brush and debris from fire-prone areas.
These are steps to eliminate hazards, eliminate fuels that could potentially cause a larger risk for you and your home.
Both departments say it's a good idea to be prepared and have evacuation plans in case of emergency. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the president's 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports are set to take effect tomorrow.
The Trump administration is showing no signs of backing off of these steep and sweeping tariffs, even amid all of these court challenges, arguing that it is disrupting ongoing negotiations. So about 60 days into this trade war now, the U.S. has only announced a deal with one country, the U.K.
ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott reporting. Your money at this moment: the Dow's up 114 points to 42,420. Coming up, it's warm today and warmer later this week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 9:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I really hope you can join KSL News Radio all day long tomorrow for our annual Give-a-thon. It's Give-a-thon 2025 for the children at Primary Children's Hospital. You can donate to help the kids at Primary Children's Hospital actually right now by visiting kslkids.com, or I think this is really super easy. If you just text the word SMILE to 57500, which is our text line, we will tell you how to get hooked up to be a Smile Maker for as little as $15 a month. So you just text the word SMILE to 57500 and we'll send you right back what you need to know to become a Smile Maker. And as always, our thanks to J&J Garden Center for being our Smile Maker sponsor.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
We still have huge delays trying to get out of Utah County this morning. No crashes reported northbound I-15 from Lehigh up to Bangerter Highway, but you are still crawling along about 20-25 miles an hour for several miles. Then once you get into the Salt Lake Valley, you're going to hit the brakes again, right about 90th South in Sandy, all the way up into Midvale near the I-215 South interchange. That was due to a couple of different crashes. One of them is now still over on the right shoulder near 7200 South. And then if you're trying to use Redwood Road to get out of Utah County, that's overly congested as well, as a lot of extra people are using that as their alternate. Planning a spring kitchen or bath remodel? Visit Utah's one-stop countertop shop, Bedrock Quartz, and see all the newest quartz, granite, and quartzite countertops. Visit bedrockquartz.com. That's bedrockquartz.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, sunny, highs in the mid-70s. Tomorrow, much of the same. Right now, it's 64 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Among the many smart things that Greg Sportis has done in his career is he agreed to become our KSL legal analyst a few years ago. And then, of course, you're taking over the show, All New Inside Sources at 9 a.m. on Monday morning with Holly Richardson. But as part of your responsibilities as our legal analyst, Greg, you so often help us really walk through and understand important cases that are happening, legal cases, whether they're civil cases or criminal cases, all over Utah.
And I absolutely told KSL that even with this show starting next week, I want to continue to be the legal analyst. I want to continue to be called out on things because I'm still a lawyer. I'm still going to be practicing a little bit, but I really like doing that and breaking things down so that people can understand the law and what happens when a person is charged with a crime and where the case is headed and what they're facing.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're co-hosting with me today because when this story crossed, I believe it crossed over the weekend, I caught it. I thought, I want to talk to Greg about this because it involves the allegations of a police officer alleged to have been stalking his former girlfriend. And I want to walk through this case with you because specifically I want to know more for people who are concerned about being stalked. Like, what are the action steps that they can take to protect themselves? So let's just start here with the case. It involves a Salt Lake City police officer who's been arrested. He's been accused of stalking his former girlfriend. I believe he appears in court today, will be his initial court appearance. But the list of allegations that he's facing, such as using 10 different phone numbers, including his work number, his personal phone number, to using Venmo and Instagram to allegedly contact her. And that's not all. So let's start there with these allegations. They seem very serious to me. And there's even more to this. Like, we're going to get into in just a moment how it looks to me like she had to alter many aspects of her life to try to get away from this. But let's start with the allegations against this officer.
Stalking is an interesting crime because it requires what we call a course of conduct. In other words, several incidents. And usually it requires at least 2 or 3. This one involves, Debbie, dozens and dozens. He had this relationship, and stalking requires, if you want it to, if it's going to be a felony level, that the two were previously cohabitants. So stalking some stranger is one thing, but stalking a former spouse or
and that's
girlfriend
what this says is that they at one point lived together,
right.
and then she broke it off.
Right.
Last fall, it looks like she broke it off.
Right. And
ended
after
a relationship.
Right. After she did that, he texted her 52 more times. Called her numerous times from 10 different phone numbers, including his work number, his personal number, several numbers he believed that he had generated through a website, told her to contact him, went through Venmo, Instagram, created private profiles, even after she continued to try to block him, sent her flowers to her place of employment. And, some of these things might seem a little bit, Debbie, innocuous.
On the face of sending somebody flowers to their workplace would seem nice, but this is, you're saying, a course of conduct. This got to the point where it seems like she was living in fear to me from reading this.
Right, and if you're in fear of someone and you move, and then they send you flowers, your employment or something like that, what they're saying is, I still know where you are. I can still contact you. And even if it's flowers, that had to be chilling for that person to say, okay, I thought I was done with this guy, and now something's happening. He knows where I am right now. He knows what I'm thinking right now. He wants to contact me right now. Even if it's flowers, so it looks on his face to be good, it can be something that would be really problematic for the alleged victim.
Well, Greg, as we walk through this case involving a Salt Lake City police officer who's been arrested, he's been alleged to have stalked his former girlfriend. I also want to note that these, at least the probable cause statement that we're reading, the probable cause statement says she asked him to stop. And it looks like it happened a number of times. He was asked to stop contacting her in January, the beginning of January, middle of January, and again toward the end of January. From a lawyer's perspective, if I came to you and said, I am being stalked, and here's the course of conduct that I have kept track of, that I have documented, should I tell this person to stop? What would you tell me?
So there's two things with respect to stalking. What we're talking about, this officer has been charged with criminal stalking. But if someone comes into an attorney's office or anyone, even some of the courts, and say, look, this person is stalking me, you can go through the civil process and get what's called a civil stalking injunction. It's similar to a protective order, a no contact order, but it involves the allegations of stalking. In other words, this person is just, it's not like a protective order where somebody got in a fight or they beat up someone. This is just the stalking itself can create the need and necessity for a stalking injunction, which is a court order to leave the person alone. And then if that's violated, that's a crime all by itself. So we're talking about the criminal case here, but this woman could have, and I'm not going to say should have, because it looks like she did everything she could have done to avoid him, but she could have also qualified for a stalking injunction and had the power of the courts and law enforcement behind her to say, don't do this, don't contact this woman.
And we, frankly, from this, we don't know
if she
right. So,
good point.
But what you're saying is, if you are being victimized, this is another avenue that you can take. But telling the person to stop, from this document, it seems that she told him to stop at least 3 times in January. And additionally, it sounds like, and this really hit home for me, is like, how, in terms of like, how do you get away from this? You know, it's just, how do victims get away from this? And it seems like she did a number of things. It's almost like she had to alter many aspects of her life,
which you shouldn't have to do.
That's why it hit home. Like, you shouldn't have to do this. But she got a new email address. She had to get a new phone number. Think about just changing your phone number.
Right.
How hectic that is.
And then
she requests for her employer to apply a filter to prevent receiving communications from him.
But he's a police officer.
Well, let's talk about that aspect of it.
That makes it worse in so many ways, because in that capacity, and I'm not suggesting he did this for a minute, he would have access to things that you and I don't have access to. I mean, you can look at somebody's license plate and say, oh, that's cool. If you're a police officer, you can look at a license plate and say,
but you don't know that happened.
Absolutely not.
But you're saying there's just certain authority that is granted to police officers.
There are things that he could gain access to that you and I couldn't. It would make it a little bit easier for him to contact her. Now, none of these look like he did that necessarily from what we're reading in the probable cause statement. But being a police officer, she had to know he can find me a little easier than the last boyfriend I may have had.
It looks as though did I read that she she moved to a new and undisclosed address,
right?
Obtained a new email, and on, and did all these things to avoid contact. So my understanding is he has a court appearance today. Of course, we'll continue to track the developments on this story. But I know the next question, of course, is what happens to his standing as a police officer. And we're not addressing that in this conversation.
Correct.
But just quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably on leave right now, leave with pay. If he's convicted of a crime, even a misdemeanor crime, he'll be suspended. If it's a felony crime, he'll be revoked. He won't work in law enforcement again ever. It's also a crime, if you think about it, Debbie, where he may be restricted from possessing a firearm. You can't be a police officer if you can't possess a firearm. So his career may be in jeopardy under a couple different levels.
All things that we'll have to see over the course of this case. But again, Maria's on this this afternoon with Middays with Maria. We'll be tracking this throughout the day with Jeff Kaplan as well. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, which starts at 3 p.m. So we've got our team of reporters and producers tracking the developments on this case. Straight ahead, it's called Operation Spiderweb, the secretive drone attack Ukraine launched on Russia, Russia's bombing fleet. It's really the stuff that you read in spy novels.
It's of James Bond. It absolutely is.
Well, your new co-host, Holly Richardson, is walking us inside the surprise attack next.
Regardless of how old your air conditioner is, there are a few things you can do to help it last as many summers as possible. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and like so many things in our life, it's easy to take our air conditioner for granted. If you keep a clean filter, rinse the outdoor unit off every once in a while, and have it serviced once a summer, you can reduce your risk of unexpected breakdowns. But eventually it will break down. And if someone tells you that your only option is to replace it, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You could save thousands of dollars repairing it instead of replacing it. Any Hour rarely comes across an air conditioner that just can't be repaired. That doesn't mean you won't choose to replace it anyway, but being told you don't have options, that's not cool. So if you want honest answers and straightforward options, give Any Hour Services a call. And remember, every week this summer, Any Hour Services is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer as part of our Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can see official rules or schedule your service at anyhour.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
There's never been a better time to test drive that Hyundai you've always wanted. Visit your Utah Hyundai dealers today.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
And this is the stuff that I think spy novels are made of, but it actually happened in the Ukraine-Russian war. I mean, I guess I should say the Russia-Ukraine war because it was Russia who started it, but it's called Operation Spiderweb, and we're going to talk about
Which
it
is
right
a way
now.
cool name. If you're gonna have an undercover covert operation.
What did you think about this? It really was a very well kept secret. This drone attack, numerous drones, more than 100 drones that Ukraine launches on Russia's bombing fleet. It really is the stuff, like you said, that James Bond spy novels are made of.
Yeah, and the planning and the preparation that went into this, and there had to be someone inside Russia, or at least some operatives there, that knew about it. There had to be some other of our partners in NATO that knew about it. I don't think this was a complete surprise, but it was a complete surprise to Russia. I mean, whoever executed this and planned this from the Ukraine side did so in a way that is absolutely amazing, that they were able to get something like 3,000 miles into Russia with these trucks, and then destroy a big portion of their bomber fleet, which is
by launching the
drones. Which is a third of their ability to attack by way of nuclear weapons. I mean, that's a big part of their arsenal.
I want to hear more from ABC News' Martha Raddatz on this. She's been reporting on this, and then we're going to bring Holly Richardson. She, of course, is the editor of Utah Policy. Also works with the Deseret News and is your new co-host of the all-new Inside Sources, which starts on June 9th.
Russia reeling from Ukraine's astonishing and unprecedented drone attacks on military airfields all across Russia. Remarkable videos showing what Ukraine says are some of the more than 40 Russian warplanes, including nuclear-capable bombers, set ablaze. Estimated to be more than 30% of Russia's strategic bombers destroyed.
And that's huge. I mean, that's a big part of that. But help us understand that a little bit better. We do have Holly Richardson with us, editor of Utah Policy and the new co-host with me of Inside Sources starting on June 9th. Holly, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure, of course.
So I'm going to be sitting next to you, but now I get to interview you. So tell our listeners what they need to know about this operation, because you and I talked about it yesterday at length. It was just like Debbie and I have been talking about, the stuff of TV movies.
Yeah, and I think you've pointed out a couple of things that are really important for people to know. One is that this was an operation that had been underway in the planning stages for about a year and a half. So a couple of things. One, they were able to keep secrets really, really well, right? Nothing leaked. As far as we can tell, there was no signal chat. There was nobody went to the press, right? I mean, nothing leaked, and they kept this under wraps. So when Zelensky was in the White House being lectured about not holding any cards in this conflict, he in fact knew that this operation was well into the planning stages. So they did a really, really good job of keeping this under wraps.
So it's interesting. Go ahead, Holly.
I was just going to say, I think another thing that's super interesting about this is that it changes in a lot of ways the nature of warfare, and we have seen that shifting with the use of these drones. But these drones are literally hundreds of dollars, and they took out planes that are in the millions of dollars, right? They just were able to execute just with such precision with these basically low-tech options.
Yeah, and how did they get inside Russia? Do we know that? I was hearing there's something about just basically in the back of trucks.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was in the top of trucks. So what they did is basically have a false roof, but they had these drones on the top, and the trucks would open on the top. But they had Russian drivers who did not know what they were carrying in addition to whatever the normal payload was in the trucks. And so when it was time, the top of the truck lifted up, these drones deployed, and they were able to get to their targets.
Well, and watch the video of this, and they destroyed bomber after bomber. And I think it was in the neighborhood of maybe 117 drones that were launched.
Right.
And
yeah, that's right.
The cost, according to the BBC, the estimated cost to Russia of this drone attack is $7 billion. $7 billion.
Yeah.
What is the cost to Putin?
Well, so I've seen some things online, right, that some of the people close to him should be careful about standing by windows. And unfortunately, a lot of people who get in his crosshairs end up dying of falling out of windows or falling downstairs. So I think the cost is high for him. I think it really shows the world that Russia is not invulnerable, and they cannot rebuild these planes. They don't have the technology. They don't have the infrastructure anymore. So Russia has poured all of their economy really into fighting this war with Ukraine. Ukraine was also able to pull off another attack this morning on a bridge going into Crimea that was also months in the making. And it's damaging Russia's ability to attack not only Ukraine, but the rest of NATO countries.
So, Holly, we are also hearing, and we'd been planning for some, I guess, peace talks or some negotiations that were supposed to start yesterday in Turkey. And I think Turkey was sort of helping mediate that. Do we know, this couldn't have helped that process too much, but do we know how those are going?
Yeah, they're not going well. So yesterday's talks lasted about an hour is all. And then what came out of that is Russia is absolutely intractable. They will not concede anything. In fact, the information that came out following yesterday's talks were that Russia says we are going for all-out victory. We want concessions from Ukraine to give us all the land we already have taken over, plus more, and we want them to guarantee us that they will draw down their military size. So, of course, that's not really going to go anywhere.
Seriously. Well, Holly, come join us in the studio, if you will.
I will be right there.
Good. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Hall, for that update. Appreciate it. We'll see you in a few minutes. She's actually walking into Broadcast House right now and going to join us in studio when we are joined by the Deseret News congressional correspondent, Cami Mondo, in the 10 o'clock hour. And we're going to talk about President Trump's big, beautiful budget bill, it narrowly passed the House. It was like just very
Still waiting for
narrow.
Senate confirmation.
Yeah, and Cammie's going to help us break down which senators have heartburn with this big, beautiful budget bill and what specific aspects of the bill are causing some hiccups in the Senate. Cammie's on the line live with us next. Holly Richardson joining us in studio as well, and the future host of the all-new Inside Sources starting on this Monday at 9 a.m. Greg Skordas, Holly Richardson, going to walk us through their takes on the big budget bill as well.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to kslkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at kslkids.com.
Jim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right, it's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys. And I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? That could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours. Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. We're hearing this morning from the family of a man who was killed over the weekend when he was hit by a car while riding his motorcycle in Salt Lake City. Police say the car drove off. Rochelle MacArthur tells KSL TV her father, Scott Mayer, loved life and loved motorcycles.
If anybody has a decent ounce in their body, please let us know,
Police believe the driver was in a light-colored sedan. The crash happened near 400 East and 2100 South on Sunday. A Salt Lake City police officer accused of stalking his ex-girlfriend is expected to make his first court appearance today. Thomas Goodsell is accused of repeatedly trying to contact his former girlfriend after she asked him to stop multiple times. She tells police she changed her number and even asked her employer to prevent him from contacting her. Goodsell has worked for the department since 2019 as a patrol officer. The department says they are taking the arrest and investigation very seriously. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. U.S. job openings rose higher than expected in April. The Labor Department reported this morning that employers posted 7.4 million job vacancies last month, which was higher than in March. Economists had expected the number of job openings to go down from the previous month. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 159 points to 42,465. Coming up, we've got a near-perfect forecast. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the Knights of Scamalot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information, and never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to Finding Neverland at Hale Center Theater. We were there, Dee and I, on opening night, and it is absolutely amazing. I was so impressed by the aerials. They don't overwhelm the production, but boy, when they use the aerials, it really counts. In one scene, you have not only the flying around, but dancing in the air, which is spectacular. Another thing that I love, in J.M. Barrie's imagination, the Captain Hook character is absolutely spectacular. A perfection in pirate plumage. Let me put it that way. You're going to love the story. You're going to love the production. It's Finding Neverland, and it's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And don't forget, right now is the perfect time to get tickets for the rest of the season. And all you have to do is go to hct.org. And don't miss Finding Neverland.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? That could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours. Get the answer in a free report. Your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Get ready to join the climb, Jazz fans. It's time to place your season ticket deposits for the 2025-26 season. Place your deposit now and receive priority access to select your seats, exclusive gear, and more. Season tickets give you access to every home game, plus exclusive member-only discounts and benefits. Call or text 801-355-DUNK or go to utahjazz.com to lock in your deposit for next season.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, traffic is finally back to normal freeway speeds in Utah County. Northbound I-15 looks good from Spanish Fork all the way to the point of the mountain. But as soon as you cross over into the Salt Lake County line, you slow down from the point of the mountain all the way into the Midvale area just before you hit the I-215 South interchange. Most of the crashes that were causing all these slowdowns have either been cleared or moved over to the right shoulder, but traffic still just sort of crawling along through the south end of the Salt Lake Valley. We also have a crash on the on-ramp from Mountain Dell area to go westbound I-80 through Parley's Canyon, but it's not blocking main flow. Create a sanctuary in the yard with bedding plants from Olson's Greenhouse, locally grown, quality flowers to adorn containers on the porch, beds, or patio. For tips and ideas, visit ogg.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, mostly sunny and 76 degrees. Nearly the same tomorrow with a high of 79. And then we jump back into the 80s on Thursday and Friday. Right now it's sunny at 65 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. America's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, let's talk about the big, beautiful bill, as President Trump calls it. It's the budget bill. It made it out of the House. Oh, so close, though. It's over in the Senate now. And in a moment, we're going to get with Deseret News congressional correspondent Cami Mondo, who's been carefully tracking the developments in the Senate, to fill us in on how Senator Mike Lee and Senator John Curtis are eyeing this bill and what they see as wins and potential perhaps problems in this legislation. She's waiting on the line with us, but I want to remind our listeners, I have Greg Skordas, who's co-hosting with me today on my left, Holly Richardson, who's also joined us in studio on my right. Both of you are the future hosts starting 9 a.m. on June 9th, which is next Monday.
Yep.
Of the all-new Inside Sources, 9 to noon weekdays right here on KSL News Radio. So happy to have both of you with me talking about this huge piece of legislation. Holly, let's start with you.
Sure.
Just what's your quick take on where we're at with this?
Well, I think where we're at right now is that this bill will not pass the Senate in its current form. So we know that there are enough Republican senators opposed to the bill in the way it came over from the House that it just is not going to pass the Senate. So the question then becomes, what changes are going to happen to get it to pass the Senate?
Greg?
Yeah, and it looks like there's sort of three breakdowns to follow up on what Holly just said that the Senate has and that some Senate Republicans have. And one is the Medicaid cuts. Perhaps they go too deep. One is spending cuts. Perhaps they don't go deep enough. And the other is green energy cuts. And some senators saying, wait a minute, maybe we're not really in a position to just start hacking those up, including our own Utah senator.
Cami Mondo, the Deseret News' congressional correspondent. Good morning. Are you joining us from D.C.?
Yes, I am in the Senate right now, so I'm joining you from the very hallways where it's happening.
So reading your article in the Deseret News, its headline is, here are the changes Senators Mike Lee and John Curtis are considering for Trump's big, beautiful bill. Let's start there with our very own senators from Utah. What are they eyeing?
Right. And so right now, both Senator Mike Lee and Senator John Curtis, they're both not sold on this bill, but for very different reasons. So we have Mike Lee, who's saying that, it doesn't go far enough to cut spending. It doesn't do enough to reduce the national deficit. He's looking at, deeper cuts to Medicaid, to those clean energy tax credits. And he's wanting, even deeper spending cuts that may not be sold yet among Senate Republicans. Meanwhile, John Curtis is wanting to be a little bit more frugal with those things, making sure that cuts to Medicaid don't take away coverage from those that need it. He's looking at actually putting some green energy tax credits back into the bill that were cut previously. So they're kind of looking at some different things, and in some cases they actually contradict each other.
So where are we right now with respect to this bill? I mean, you're at the Senate right now. Is it being debated? Is it something that we expect some action on this week, maybe today?
So right now, it's just coming to the Senate. They're coming back from their week-long recess. They're going to be debating this over the next few weeks. The goal is they want to make their changes in the Senate, pass it, head it back to the House, pass it, and get it to Trump's desk by July 4th. But that is kind of an ambitious timeline. That's only 4 weeks away, and there are a lot of internal debates that have not been resolved.
So, Cammie, can you tell us where do you think maybe John Curtis's interest in the green tax credits, where do you think those stand? Do you think those are first on the chopping block? Will they survive? What do you think?
Right, and so he hasn't come out to say whether or not this is a red line for him. When I have talked to him about this in the past, he said that he's going to do everything he can to make sure that some of those tax credits, are preserved in this bill. He's saying that, there are a lot of Utah businesses who rely on those solar power energy credits, to help with their businesses. But it's not clear, if those are cut. It's not clear if that's, a no for him. There are a couple other Republican senators who want to preserve those same clean energy tax credits. So it is possible that some will be in there, but it's not clear how much he's willing to fight for it.
Cammie Mondo is Desert News' congressional correspondent. She's joining us live right now from the Senate back in Washington, D.C. We're talking about President Trump's big, beautiful bill. That's the budget bill. And some have had the heartburn with the amount of money, Cammie, that this looks to be potentially adding to the deficit over the next decade or so. Remind us, is it in the neighborhood of $3.8 trillion?
Yes, so that's correct. It kind of depends on, which projection you look at. Some senators don't trust the projections from the Congressional Budget Office. Some are relying heavily on that, but that is the number that, we're kind of looking at.
And then I know others have had some concerns. I'm thinking about, I think it was Senator Josh Hawley, who is pointing out some concerns over the cuts to Medicaid. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, so Josh Hawley is one of the louder voices on that right now. There are a handful of others who agree with him, and that could be an issue for Republican leaders. But he's saying, those cuts to Medicaid right now are already too deep, and they'll already cut off care that people rely on, while you have people like, Senator Mike Lee and some others who say they want more cuts to that Medicaid. So that's kind of one of the many issues that are being balanced right now.
And Cammie, we're spending most of the time talking about how Republicans feel about this, which makes perfect sense because they hold the majority. But what are we hearing from Senate Democrats at all about this bill?
Right. So if you ask any Democrat, off the cuff about this, they are all very angry with this bill. You won't get any Democratic support regardless of what you do with this bill. They're all upset that it's going to cut Medicaid at all. That's going to be a huge topic of conversation that you're going to see over the coming months, especially with the midterm elections. They're upset about the repeal of the green energy tax credits. And I don't think there's probably any provision in this bill that they are happy with.
We see Rand Paul has really taken the lead, I think, too. In fact, I'm seeing stories right now, just new this morning, that Trump is kind of bashing on Rand Paul for his opposition to the bill. Where do you see Rand Paul in relation to all of this discussion?
Right. So Rand Paul has kind of established himself as a no against the entire package because of a provision in there that actually increases the debt ceiling. That's something that happens every couple of years or so just to make sure that the U.S. doesn't default on debt. Republicans are typically against that, but Rand Paul is making that his red line, that if that's included, he's a no on the package altogether.
And Cammie, are we hearing any fallout today about Joni Ernst's comments yesterday?
Let me remind our listeners, Greg, Cammie and Holly, what those comments were. They had to do with Medicaid concern from people in the town hall audience. She was at a town hall recently, and it was a rough crowd, no doubt. But then when they got to talking about the cuts to Medicaid, somebody in the audience, you could hear him with their concerns saying, people are going to die.
When you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, They are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes, folks, okay, no, but well, what you don't want to do is listen to me when I say that we are going to focus on those that are most vulnerable. Those that meet the eligibility requirements for Medicaid, we will protect.
Okay, Cammie, so we are all going to die probably isn't the best selling point for your Medicaid cut bill, but what's being said about those comments today, if anything?
Right, yeah. As you said, that's going to be a perfect soundbite for Democrats as they really dig into this Medicaid cuts over the next year or so. I have not seen Senator Ernst just yet since that was made, but she did have comments over the weekend kind of doubling down on that, defending what she said. And she was basically like, that's a well-known thing, it's something that everybody's going to die, so why can't we bring that up? But no doubt she is going to face some blowback for that. And I think some Republicans are going to be a little uneasy with that as well.
Cammie, I think one probably final question before we let you go, and that is, okay, if this gets changed in the Senate, which to Holly's point, it sounds like she thinks it will.
Right. I think it will. One of the issues, too, that we're seeing is there's other provisions in the bill that don't seem to relate necessarily to spending. Are you hearing any word on the Hill right now about some of those?
Right, and so reconciliation does have some very strict rules about what can be passed in this kind of package. So right now, I think you're going to be seeing the Senate parliamentarian in probably the next few days or so giving a score or recommendation on whether these actually adhere to those rules. Because like you said, it all has to do with spending. It has to do with revenue and taxes. Some of these provisions don't exactly seem to align with that. And so it'll be up to the Senate parliamentarian to rule on whether they can stay in the package.
And will this mean if changes are made that it will then have to go back to the House for another vote?
Yes. So whatever change is made in the Senate, that will have to be approved by the House, which could get sticky. People in the House, a lot of Republicans fought for a lot of these deep cuts. And so if those deep cuts are lessened at all, it could be a battle just to get it back to the House.
Cammie Mondo, Deseret News' congressional correspondent. You can read her stories at Deseret.com. Thank you so much for bringing us these insights live from the United States Capitol this morning. Holly, I'll let you have it.
Thanks, Cammie. One of the things that we talked about just at the end are additional provisions included in this bill. Some of them are AI regulations.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting provision that just basically says states can't restrict AI, right? If I'm understanding correctly. And Utah has been really active on that, right, lately, but it's this whole federal thing is, hey, we're going to be the boss for the next decade.
Well, the artificial intelligence component for this in this bill came out of the blue at me, so I've done a little bit of research on it. And when you think about artificial intelligence and all the things it's already capable of doing, I think the states and probably like local jurisdictions, particularly maybe even police departments, would want to see some sort of regulation on how it's used because and they are implementing regulations on how it's used because we just got this whole new world that's been thrust upon us, and it's changing so rapidly that without regulations, think about all the possibilities that could happen, like fake commercials or,
so many
political
things.
fallout from this because of. So I think the states are definitely stakeholders, and like I said, even like local jurisdictions would want for the states to have some sort of regulation over it. But it sounds like what this bill would do is whatever the feds decide is the law of the land
for a decade, right? That states can control. So
think about how much it's going to change in 10 years.
That's right. That's part of it. Is it changes rapidly. It actually reminds me of one of Ronald Reagan's famous quotes. Right, the 9 scariest words are in the English language are "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Right, and but really, I mean, for Utah, and especially for Republicans who continue to say we're for limited government, but trust us on this one, right? You don't have the ability as a state or a local entity at all to control AI. What does this have to do with the budget, right? But I mean, except that they are allocating money for it. But that's an interesting piece of this bill, 1,000+ pages. Right, that is
Holly,
in that bill.
I was going to ask you a follow-up on that a little bit, and maybe I'm a little bit naive, but is this sort of an all or nothing bill? Is it something that the Senate can say?
I think
okay,
that's the point. Big, beautiful bill. One big, beautiful bill. Everything all in one.
And you think the Republicans are saying take it or leave it? I mean, make some tweaks, but it's all the same package.
Look, I know that it really struggled to get through the House. It finally did, right? There were holdouts over there as well. But one of the key components that is an issue was Republicans from states that lean more blue said we have to have this particular tax thing in there. It's SALT. It's state and local taxes, right? And where you have a cap on them and extending the cap rather than removing it completely. But on the Senate side, somebody like Senator Mike Lee from Utah is saying, no, we don't need that. That's just a giveaway to blue states, and we don't need to do that. We want to take it away completely. Well, the Republicans on the House side who come from these more blue states are saying if that's taken away, we're a no on the bill.
Do you feel like let's just go back to Medicaid in the last few minutes we have for this discussion. I wonder if Republicans were caught off guard at all about the backlash that they are receiving regarding Medicaid, and we'll go back to the situation with Senator Joni Ernst.
When you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, 1.4, they are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, we all are going to die.
Of course, then doubling down with her, I'll say, apology, non-apology.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth.
And then she makes some quip about, I'm glad I didn't have to tell him about the tooth fairy.
And I'm really glad that I did not.
This is very impactful for a number of families across the United States and in Utah.
Yeah.
Do you think that the potential here is to underestimate how much this issue is resonating with voters is becoming clearer?
I don't know that they were unaware, right? I mean, forever, it feels like Medicaid and Medicare, Social Security have been considered the third rail of politics. You don't even touch them. You never talk about them. You don't talk about cuts, right? You can't actually get to balancing the budget and decreasing federal spending without addressing these. But there are ways to do it without making people feel like if you're going to die, just hurry up and do it. Right. And I think that was the issue that came across from Senator Ernst. And then she doubled down, right, on this snarky comment about, I thought everybody actually knew that we all are going to die.
You guys have both been in politics, and Greg included. Isn't there like a political rule, like Rule 101 in politics is you don't tell people they're going to die? Isn't there?
Or hey,
we
need to raise taxes for that issue.
And then
a couple of things you avoid.
She went to a graveyard, like she went to a cemetery, and she's going to find it on a map to record her non-apology. But what's your take on all of this and the Medicaid component to this, Greg?
Yeah, I think there are certain things, like Holly said, that are probably hands off with most Americans. Social Security hits close to home with me. Medicare, Medicaid. I think Americans have come to appreciate those things, have come to expect those things, and have come to expect that the government's going to make sure those are funded forever. And don't touch that. I mean, if you want to cut back this or that, there's a whole lot of things that can be cut back. But those Holly, seem to be three of the more sacred items.
They are, but again, you have to be able to address those if we actually do want to decrease federal spending, right, rather than the slash and burn approach that we've seen recently. But one of the issues I think that you brought up, Debbie, is when you have a family that is reliant on Medicaid to keep their loved one alive, it is very personal for someone to say to you, you know what, somebody's going to die, right? That feels like a direct attack on your loved one. And there are people that I know within the state of Utah who are reliant on Medicaid services to keep their children or their spouse alive. I think that we have to acknowledge how painful it is for people like that to hear your loved one may be part of the cost.
What I'm hearing and what resonated with me as I'm reading through comments and hearing, fallout after those comments were made is we can talk about reform and also make sure we're being compassionate.
We can be kind. We can talk about how we can restructure Social Security by raising the retirement age rather than saying, hey, we're going to pull the rug out from all of y'all.
Senate Democrats, Debbie, should all go buy blue ball caps that say, "We are all going to die."
Well, this will definitely be part of somebody's campaign.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, for sure.
Holly, you are welcome to stick around. I don't know what your day holds at the Deseret News. Greg is stuck with me until noon today, but we have the newly elected chair of Utah's Democratic Party, Brian King, calling the show next.
It's been so important in this news show to hear how the news is impacting you.
Midday.
How this is really going to impact your life or your children's safety or your husband's job. To hear that wow moment from you.
Midday with Maria Chaleos.
I invite you to join us from noon to 3 right here on KSL News Radio.
The Utah RV Palooza is ready for another round of RV savings. But this time, we're hooking you up, South Salt Lake County. June 5th through the 7th, we're bringing our packed inventory of new and used RVs to you on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. Shop all the best RV brands fit for any budget and all at show pricing. You'll find payments starting under $139 per month on approved credit on select new RVs and clearance pricing on all remaining new 2024s while they last. You'll also get 90 days of all play and no pay OAC. Start shopping the best deals now at UtahRVPalooza.com. And it's the only show featuring the full lineup from Wayfinder RV, available exclusively through Bish's. Plus, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. All this plus free admission to the Utah RV Palooza, June 5th through the 7th on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. See you in Harriman.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number 89922. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Deal number 822B426B.
Do you want to make your house more comfortable, more energy efficient, more valuable? Well, maybe it's time you took a look at your doors and windows. And there's nobody around who does doors and windows better than Peach Doors and Windows.
Improve the functionality of your home with custom replacement windows, entry doors, patio doors. Maybe you have a sunroom or you want a new custom front door and windows to maximize the beauty of your home. Peach offers flexible financing available to fit any budget. They've got expert installation, including fiberglass doors, which are their specialty, and they'll replace your windows with the highest energy efficiency rating.
And customer service is a top priority. It's the reason why they have so many 5-star reviews on Google. You can check it out for yourself. You can also check them out online at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can call for a free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255.
Or see them in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Go check out their beautiful showroom. It's Peach Doors and Windows.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I'll fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. Call 800-995-2929. That's 800-995-2929.
1 in 6 Utah kids face hunger. And the summer months make things even more challenging because families can no longer rely on school meals to help them get by. These days, the situation is more dramatic than ever. That's why Utah Food Bank is again holding its annual Summer Business Food and Fund Drive, encouraging organizations of all sizes to gather food for donations for families. Beginning in early June and running through the end of August, the Summer Business Food and Fund Drive is your chance to make a difference for families seeking emergency food requests to help stretch their budgets. Rally your coworkers, friends, or a community group of any size to make a collection. Every dollar earned turns into more than $7 in the form of goods and services to help those in need. What are you waiting for? Organize your summer business food and fund drive today. To find out more or to get ideas for your own DIY fundraiser, visit utahfoodbank.org.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: Utah's governor has appointed the first director of the state's new government records office, which replaces the former State Records Committee, to oversee public record requests. Governor Spencer Cox has chosen Lonnie Pearson to lead it. He most recently worked as a staffer for former Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. Pearson was the attorney who represented the AG's office in a legal battle against KSL investigators who fought before the State Records Committee to see Sean Reyes' calendar last year.
The committee should definitely be asking itself right now, what is the ultimate authority's intent? And that is the legislature's intent.
KSL did eventually gain access to his calendar. Pearson says he's honored by the appointment to this office. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: President Trump's higher tariffs on steel and aluminum imports are set to take effect tomorrow.
The Trump administration is showing no signs of backing off of these steep and sweeping tariffs, even amid all of these court challenges, arguing that it is disrupting ongoing negotiations. So about 60 days into this trade war now, the U.S. has only announced a deal with one country, the U.K.
ABC's Rachel Scott reporting. Your money at this moment: the Dow's up 189 points to 42,494. Coming up, it's going to be hard to beat today's forecast. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I really hope you can join us tomorrow all day long for the Give-a-thon. That's right. KSL News Radio, we will be broadcasting our annual Give-a-thon, which is to help the kids at Primary Children's Hospital. And y'all have been so supportive for decades. And you can be supportive once again by either visiting kslkids.com or by texting the word SMILE right now to 57500. And when you text the word SMILE to 57500, we're going to set you up to be a smile maker for as little as $15 a month. So first of all, make sure you join us for the Give-a-thon tomorrow right here on KSL News Radio. And second, you can text the word SMILE to 57500 and we'll help get you signed up to be a smile maker. And as always, our thanks to J&J Garden Center for being our smile maker sponsor.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
KSL News Time 10:33. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check in one more time with Heather Kelly.
We are finally pretty much back to normal freeway speeds on the I-15 corridor. You might see a brake light or two, especially northbound, as you move through Draper and Sandy area. But overall, you're back to a 45-minute commute from Spanish Fork into downtown. And southbound I-15 hasn't had too many issues today. It's about 30 minutes from Ogden to Salt Lake. No delays on SR 36 out of Tooele County, the East or West Side Belt routes, or I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. Call or visit gopavutah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, a beautiful 76 degrees and sunshine today. Pretty much the same tomorrow with a high of 79. And then we get into the 80s and 90s for the rest of the week. Right now, it's sunny and 67 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Utah's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
In just a few moments, we're going to talk live to the newly elected chairman of the Democratic Party here in Utah, Brian King. Name sound familiar? That's because he served for quite a while in the Utah House of Representatives and most recently ran as the Democrats' nominee for governor.
For governor, he's also a very prominent attorney and someone I've known for many years. The Republicans had their convention a couple weeks earlier and re-elected Robert Axon as their chair, but the Democrats had a new slate of officers running for chair. Brian King came out the leader in that, and I think the whole slate of from chair to vice chair to secretary and treasurer are all new members of the Democratic party leadership, which I think is going to be good for the party and some change.
Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst, also at one time, twice you ran for Attorney General here in the state.
Thank
or just,
you for
just
reminding
once?
me of that. Twice, yes.
Of course, taking over the microphone here for the all-new Inside Sources Monday, January 9th, along with his new co-host, Holly Richardson. Also once served in the Utah House of Representatives.
I did. I served with Brian, actually, so that was it's fun. We've known each other for a long time also. So
see, and Holly didn't even have to run. They just appointed her, didn't they?
I did have to run, but it was in front of delegates. So it was a delegate election.
Right.
So
well, I look forward.
Sometimes they're a harder sell even.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I look forward to your line of questioning, both of you, as we bring Brian King on the air with us. Good morning, Brian.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and congratulations on your win on Saturday.
Oh, thank you. It was a lot of fun to run the campaign, and I'm looking forward to getting on the horse and seeing if we can't advance the fortunes of Democrats in Utah.
So, Brian, back up a couple of months. You're coming off a very vigorous gubernatorial race. You worked really hard. You were all over the state. You come out of that, and you're thinking, man, Brian's going to get back to this practice, going to take it easy for a while. We won't hear from him. And you jump into the chair's race. What prompted you to do that?
Well, in large part, Greg, it was what I saw happening around the country and the state. One of the things that we've got, as you all know here in Utah, is a lack of competition politically. And monopolies on power are no better than economic monopolies. I mean, people get hurt when you have just one party, political party, controlling everything. And we've got supermajorities in the legislature. We've got the governor of the same party. We have most of the counties in the state are controlled by the Republican Party. I just don't think it's good for Utahns and the policies that we put in place that affect all of us on a day-to-day basis. And I thought, what can we do to bring more competition to the state of Utah? And that question has a lot of answers, but one of them is having people at the top of the Democratic Party who have experience and energy and are going to bring good ideas about how we can elect more Democrats and create more of a competitive level playing field here.
So Brian, this is Holly. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, hi, Holly.
Hi. I just want to tee off one of the things you just barely said. So Democrats in Utah, if your desire is to take more seats, where do you start? Do you start this year with municipal elections that are largely nonpartisan, but they could lead to something down the road? Do you start with focusing on 2026? Do you look to redistricting? Like, where are you starting?
Well, there are some, the filing period for municipal elections opened this week. For some races, it closes as early as Friday. For others, it closes on Monday. And for some races, it doesn't close until August. Those are the ranked choice voting races. They're open a little longer. So we want to make sure that we do, as a party, focus on recruiting good candidates at the lowest levels, the municipal and local levels. Those are generally, as you said, nonpartisan races. But people have their orientation ideologically, and I want to make sure that we have a grassroots approach to building the bench for Democrats in Utah. And oftentimes the most valuable experiences that people have starts at the cities and localities, municipalities that are up for election right now, or that will be up for election later this year. And the filing period is right now, so we're finding out who those folks are that are interested in talking to them. But to answer your other question, we are recruiting candidates for 2026 right now, because the filing period for the 2026 elections, the congressional elections, the legislative races, that filing period opens the first week in January, and it's only a week long. So we've got to start working on recruiting candidates for those races for the next 7 months.
I have a follow-up question to that. One of the things that I have seen as a longtime political observer is every cycle, it seems like there are a fairly large number of seats that go unopposed. As chair, are you trying to change that, or are you focusing on specific races?
So glad you asked that. It's both and. We're focusing on specific races. Of course, not all races are equal. We're looking to make sure that we have really high-quality candidates for the congressional races that will be coming up in 2026. We don't have statewide election races for the governor and lieutenant governor and treasurer and auditor, but we do have, of course, our congressional races. We don't have U.S. Senate races, but those statewide races for Congress are going to be really important to get good candidates. But we're also committed, I'm also committed to doing everything we can for the 75 House members to have 75 Democrats running, good quality candidates in every part of the state. We can't afford, and I'm not willing to let go, have races in traditionally really red areas, such as in rural Utah, go without Democratic candidates if I have anything to do with it. So we're going to be talking to people across the state of Utah. I'm going to be traveling around the next 7 months. I really am excited about this and looking forward to meeting with people in areas, especially where it's been difficult to recruit candidates before. The goal is 75 House members, and however many state Senate seats are up, that we have Democrats for every one of them.
We're speaking live right now to the newly elected chair of Utah's Democratic Party, Brian King. He's live on the line with us. And Brian, one of the knocks against Democrats that I've been reading about, and this is not only maybe in Utah, but certainly across the nation, is that what's your platform? I mean, what do you stand for? What is that top issue that you want to drive home to voters? Because if you don't have that, people don't know how, if they want to sign on.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great question. And one of the things that we need to do as Democrats more effectively is make sure people understand who we are and what we stand for. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in looking after our neighbors. We believe in treating each other the way we would like to be treated. We believe in the ability of government to affect positive change and address people's needs in their day-to-day lives. So one of the things that I think is important is that we come up with specific issues and policies that address the needs of the people in the particular race that we're talking about. We don't have a presidential election in 2026. In Utah, we don't have a U.S. Senate election. But our congressional candidates are going to be talking to the people in the 4 Utah congressional districts about what it is in Utah those people in their districts want and need. And affordable housing is one, for example. Making sure that the gender gap between men and women is addressed so that we have a better way of making a living, that we don't have to have a second or a third job just to afford to put Christmas together for our kids. Those kinds of issues that people really care about, we're going to be certainly addressing those. But we also want to make sure people know this is the party that stands for working people. This is the party that believes in electing people who have integrity, who are honest, who are wise, and who are going to be great servants. For that reason, servant leaders who are committed to serving the public. And how a particular candidate addresses the needs of their particular race, we, of course, leave a lot of latitude to the candidates to come up with the specifics for their race. But there are some common denominators that we'll be talking about a lot.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Brian, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Got his hands full, doesn't he, Holly?
He does.
Well,
always up for a challenge.
I look forward to your ongoing discussions as you two
we'll
launch your
follow up
new
with
show
him, I'm sure.
about politics and beyond on the all-new Inside Sources. Holly Richardson, are we going to cut you free?
Yes.
Okay. Holly Richardson works with the Desert News, also the editor of Utah Policy, former lawmaker, and brand new co-host of the all-new Inside Sources starting June 9th right here at 9 a.m. But Greg, you're stuck here for at least another hour and 15 minutes.
I'm
Greg
happy to be here
Skordas,
because
I
next
know, we're having
up,
a good time.
we have Jay Evanson talking about his opinion about the current budget bill.
That's right. Jay from the Desert News, his opinion piece, Budget Bill highlights how Washington lacks a sense of irony. We're going to ask him what he means next.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
There's never been a better time to test drive that Hyundai you've always wanted. Visit your Utah Hyundai dealers today.
Dave and Dujanovic.
It's always a good day when we have Jay Evanson, opinion editor of the Desert News, in studio with us. And this time he writes, Greg, the budget bill highlights how Washington lacks a sense of irony. And in it, he actually walks us back in time to the Reagan years.
And the Reagan years, we remember his 1988 State of the Union address. He dropped this huge stack of papers next to the podium and said Congress shouldn't send another one because he wouldn't sign it.
Jay, you actually start your opinion piece talking about President Ronald Reagan. Why?
Well, because I think we lack this sense of irony. Here was an iconic Republican president who was saying, Congress, you've sent me this huge mega budget bill. Don't ever do that again because I won't sign it. And he ended up getting a standing ovation from both sides of the aisle. When's the last time you saw that in a State of the Union address?
So it was, according to our producers, it was 43 pounds of paper in total. Let's go back to that moment in time. In what year was it? 1988? Okay.
That was a total of 43 pounds of paper and ink. You had 3 hours. Yes, 3 hours to consider each. And it took 300 people in my Office of Management and Budget just to read the bill so the government wouldn't shut down. Congress shouldn't send another one of these. No, and if you do, I will not sign it.
There you go. And so today we have another Republican president who is actually backing a budget bill that is over 1,000 pages long. And we had I believe it was Representative Massey of Kentucky, who tweeted out, "Shouldn't we take more than a few hours to read a bill this big and this consequential?"
And Jay, shouldn't we have the ability? It seems like when we have these budget bills, it's an all or nothing approach where you have 138 pages and Trump is saying, and now House Republicans are saying, there it is, take it or leave it. But shouldn't there be a better give and take, or maybe opportunity to break the bill down into different sections and talk about each one rather than saying, hey, we've got to pass this or move on to something else?
There's supposed to be 13 separate bills that make up the budget. And so it's supposed to be argued and debated, just like you're saying, in separate chunks. Now, I understand that we're in a position right now where we really have a debt problem in this country. And so you need to have kind of a holistic approach if you're going to go after that. But I get a little upset because we've turned the debt into a partisan issue. So if you believe in cutting the budget and reducing debt, you're kind of a right-wing wacko to some people. This needs to be a bipartisan effort. And we have a lot of people who say, look, we've been talking about deficits forever. Nothing dire has ever happened. Well, that doesn't mean something is not going to happen. When you look at the figures, we're spending more now on just the interest, retiring the interest payments every year on the debt than we are on the military, and then we are on Medicaid and disability and those programs all combined. It's becoming a problem. And I've said, look, we had a commission. President Obama put together this commission with former Wyoming Senator Alan Simpson and Erskine Bowles from the Clinton administration back in 2010, I think it was 2011, and said, you guys work out a solution to this long-term debt problem. And they did. But Congress quickly just pushed it aside because it required too many cuts and too many tax increases. It was a balanced approach. That's what we really need to have if we're going to solve this problem. It has to be a bipartisan approach, or else you're going to have more bickering, more of these town hall meetings that just devolve into screaming. We need to all understand the problem that we're facing and what can happen. Wall Street is starting to send out signals that, hey, we need to do something about this. The bond markets are in danger.
I saw that this morning.
Yeah.
Well, and I've been following that. It's like as crazy as that might sound, like I don't know a lot about the bond market. So like I'm running back to Wall Street to ask them questions about this, but I'm just following it. And I think that's something that we haven't necessarily been paying a lot of attention to, and why that's so important when we talk about these types of issues.
Right. So, the more interest we have to pay on the debt, the harder it is to pay our other bills. And it crowds out private investment and private enterprise. And you reach a point finally where you're going to have to inflate the economy in order to keep paying those mounting interest payments. It's just like in your home, if you can't afford to pay off the principal on your credit card and you're just paying off the interest, that's going to get away from you really quickly.
Jay, Senate Democrats have expressed concern about the bill and seem to be fairly uniformly against it, which means that Senate Republicans can't lose too many votes. They can't lose too much support. And I know that since the new administration has taken effect, a lot of congressional Senate leaders have sort of followed the lead of the president and say, look, it's your call. Let's see where you want to go. We'll give you the chance. But there does seem to be a little bit of fracture in that right now with some Senate Republicans as it relates to certain parts of this bill.
Yes, absolutely. And it's very fragile. And you've had guests on here all morning talking about that. It passed the House by one vote. And there are people who say that the changes the Senate's making are too much for them. They can't vote for it. It is and this highlights again why we need to have a bipartisan approach to this. Now, budgets are an expression of priorities, and so I can see where you would let the president express his priorities through his budgeting. But if we're going to talk about reducing spending, it needs to be a buy-in from both sides. Right now, it's one party saying we need to reduce spending, even though here's a budget that actually increases the debt. And then the other party saying, you're cutting too much, we don't want to hear about cuts.
Yeah, Jay, thank you for joining us this morning. And that is an interesting article. Is it in today's Deseret News?
Yeah, today's Deseret News, but you can always find the Deseret News all day long, every day at Deseret.com, Jay.
If you search enough, you can find an archive that has all my columns in it. They're always living somewhere.
And that'll be 1,038 pages and 43 pounds also.
Pretty long, yeah.
Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News. Always fun to have you in studio. And this might be our last time together, Jay.
Very sad to hear that, but I wish you all the best.
Oh,
Debbie.
thank you. Well, there's just nothing sad about going into retirement.
No, I hope to follow you sometime.
Please don't you retire, because we need you to stay with us for our show when it starts next week.
I'll be here for a while.
Once again, meet one of the new co-hosts of the new Inside Sources today. Greg Skordas is, of course, you already know.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
You already know and work with Holly Richardson there at the Deseret News. So thanks so much. It's you. Every time I listen to you, I feel like I learned something new, and your opinion pieces are they're so well researched, and I've told you that off air many times. I'll just say that on air.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So well researched.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all the time, effort, and attention to detail you put into your opinion pieces. Straight ahead, Greg, we might surprise you with this next discussion. I don't know that we told you that this was coming, but the Granite School District is kind of considering. I'm going to call this a creative idea. To bring in some housing for employees of the district. Like, what in the world is going on in the Granite School District? Well, the Granite School District Superintendent is going to join us next to walk us through it.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Imagine waking up every morning with a smile you're proud of. No more hiding, no more pain. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's Best of State winner for 3 years in a row, has helped thousands of people ditch the dentures and say goodbye to missing or broken teeth. Their expert team specializes in giving you a permanent, natural-looking smile with dental implants that feel and function just like real teeth. With over 2,000 5-star Google reviews, their patients say it best.
Dental implants gave me my life back. I feel confident again. I feel like I can be myself.
There was no way I was getting dentures. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been the best decision of my life.
Let the expert team at Stubbs Dental help you take the first step to changing your life with dental implants. Schedule your complimentary consultation today, a $350 value, absolutely free. Visit StubbsDental.com today. That's StubbsDental.com. StubbsDental.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited-time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A West Jordan man is being investigated for torturing an animal, arson, and obstructing justice after police say he killed his roommate's dog. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
The jail documents, they paint a bleak picture, saying the suspect, Drake Montgomery, he was likely going through what they are calling mental instability because he told investigators he thought the dog was a robot, and he tried to get rid of it various ways, eventually using a knife. Police go on to say he then tried to burn all the evidence in Immigration Canyon, but he was spotted by a witness holding a gas can, and there was smoke in the distance.
Police have requested the suspect remain in jail, saying he has multiple driver's licenses from various states and is a flight risk. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 12 victims have now been confirmed in Sunday's alleged hate crime attack on pro-Israel marchers in Boulder, Colorado.
45-year-old Mohammed Solomon has allegedly told police he planned to die in Sunday's attack. He admitted it was well planned out. For over a year, he had researched how he would attack and the group he would go after. He allegedly told police he dressed as a gardener to blend in so nobody would notice he was there. When he was caught, he had 16 unexploded Molotov cocktails he never had a chance to use. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 189 points. The S&P is up 38 points. And coming up, rising temperatures this week. KSL Weather's next KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Are you looking for the perfect downtown lunch spot? The Garden Restaurant is opening on June 30th in Salt Lake City. Enjoy a reimagined space and a fresh, healthy menu featuring handcrafted sandwiches, rich soups, unique salads, and their famous homemade pot pies. You'll see and taste the difference in every menu item. The Garden is perfect for lunch meetings, taking a break while out shopping, or a spring stroll downtown. Visit the reimagined space with remarkable taste. Grab and go or stay and dine in using a new online ordering option. Find entry from the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant is opening June 30th. Hope to see you there. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. thegardenslc.com.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19.95. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic spas from years past. Start out online at arcticspasutah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah: Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
We are looking great right now across the Wasatch Front, accident-free on the major freeways and the city streets throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. No delays if you're making your way around the Salt Lake Valley on the east or west side belt routes or trying to get to and from Park City through I-80. So now we're finally have a good commute for your lunchtime drive. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 76 today. Things continue to warm up this week with highs in the 80s and 90s this weekend. Right now it is 68 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
We're going to go in depth right now on Utah's housing crisis because Greg Skordas, who's sitting in with me today, I think what this new data suggests is that the starter home crisis that we have been talking about, in my view, is far worse than I ever imagined.
And it's far worse in Utah than I think most Utahns would imagine. I think we're 8th in the nation in bad ability to get a starter home, in that it's overpriced here in Utah. And we talked about that earlier, just the fact that inflation and just the people coming into Utah wanting the homes in Utah have inflated house prices so much over the last 10 years, Debbie, that first-time home buyers are really in trouble.
We're not just going to talk about the problem. We're also going to talk about some hopeful, fingers crossed, solutions. We're going to fly up to Ogden in just a moment, speak to the mayor of Ogden, ask what his city is doing to address the starter home crisis. And then we're also going to speak to the superintendent of the Granite School District because they have floated what I think is a really unique plan to get Granite School District employees into housing.
Oh, I think that's really going to be interesting to talk to for our listeners to hear because it's something I never even thought of. It came completely off the wall for me.
Yeah, so we're going to hold that and talk to the Granite School District superintendent in just a moment. We're just going to hold that close to the vest. We're not going to explain what they're going to do for about 10 more minutes because we're going to go in depth with him. But let's get back to this Utah being ranked 8th worst in the state for starter homes. And this Deseret News article, I think reporter Lisa Riley-Roche does an excellent job of really pulling out the data that got my blood boiling this morning because I think about my kids, my 20-something-year-old kids. I think about the younger generation getting into their first home. And she points out that according to this new data that's been released, Caitlin, will you help me out? Just to ask our producer, Caitlin, will you help me out? Lisa's citing a study, and I don't know what study this is particularly. Can you grab that from her article, put that in a message to me so I can give credit where credit's due to that study that she's citing? And she did cite it. I just don't have it here on my notes. But what she reports is that in the mid-1980s, 25% of new homes were 1 to 2 bedrooms. So when you and I, of course, I bought my first home in the 90s. Actually, probably more like in the early 90s. Our second home in 95.
Mine was in the early 80s.
So back then, way back in the day, Greg,
yeah,
25% of new homes were 1 to 2 bedrooms, which is, to me, the definition of a starter home. So how much did you pay for yours?
It was in the 40s. I think we paid
40,000.
48, yeah.
48,000.
1982.
Just a moment.
It was a lot of money.
I'm going to catch my breath.
What'd you pay for your last car? I mean, that's about what I just paid.
$47,000.
Almost exactly.
You're no kidding.
Right.
You bring up an excellent point.
Yeah.
$47,000.
Yeah.
Which I just about lost my breath when I found that sticker price tag. But I plan to hold that onto that car for 50 years, so that'll work out to be like $1,000 a year. But let's fast forward to 2023, and you compare that to the quarter of the new homes built in the 1980s were 1 to 2 bedrooms in Utah. In 2023, only 5% of new homes are 1 to 2 bedroom homes. So I look at this, I see this number, and I think this crisis for starter homes is bigger than I had ever imagined. They're not building the number of starter homes that we need to open up the gates for first-time home buyers to walk through them and get into their first home, Greg.
Yeah, and it seems like our legislature, Debbie, for the last couple of sessions has been trying to address that, trying to give some builders some incentives, trying to give some first-time home buyers some financial incentives, and trying to do some things to cure this. But along the Wasatch Front, there's just we're almost to the point where there's no more room in the inn. There's just not a lot of places to build. We talked about the point of the mountain, sort of the North Utah County area. We're going to go up north and talk to the mayor of Ogden in just a minute and see what's happening as we move further north along the Wasatch Front. But still, the market is limited, and the number of new homes that can come up is also limited.
I also want to point this out because I thought my blood was boiling when I looked at that first number, but then I was like, "That's it." I mean, I'm now like officially really, really, really upset about this. Home prices went up 56.5% between just before we got the Olympics. So in the year 2000 to 2023, home prices skyrocket. Let's just call it 57%. Median household income goes up in that same time period, 8.5%.
Yeah, you're just not keeping up. And it makes it harder and harder and harder. And now we've got interest rates to deal with.
So today's young, new families, by the way, the future of Utah are looking at home prices in the $500,000 range to buy their first home on incomes that are not anywhere. They're not keeping pace. So I hear quite often I did it. You can do it too. I did it. Well, look, you did it under far different financial circumstances. Your income compared to the price that you paid, and I'm not saying you said this, but
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean, though? I hear people say it, and I'm like, your argument is just like it's not based on, it's not rooted in data, and the data shows it's almost impossible for today's younger generation to do it like you did it.
Yeah, and what you're going to hear, Debbie, is this: Mom, you did it. Can I move into your basement?
You know, I'm a little bit of a softie when it
yeah,
comes
and
to
you're
that.
going to say yes. I know you're going to do that.
Hi, Mayor.
How are we doing today? Thanks for having me.
Good. Ogden Mayor Ben Nodowski. Greg Skorda is sitting to my left today. He's going to be hosting our all-new Inside Sources starting on Monday at 9 a.m. So you'll be getting calls from Greg and Holly instead of from Debbie D. So thanks for joining us. What is Ogden doing as a city? You've been growing a lot. What are you doing to free up first-time homes or build first-time homes for young families?
Well, Ogden's doing a lot, and I want to also say that every city across the state is doing a lot. Collectively, cities across the state are sitting on tens of thousands of entitled and approved housing units that are still kind of backlogged and not being built because of the word limited was used earlier. There are limits to what a local city can do especially around, you use the term market, and then I want to talk about macroeconomics. There are limits to what local communities are able to do to influence the macroeconomics, including supply of materials, cost of labor, labor shortages, et cetera, interest rates, so on. But we all have those limitations. And so here in Ogden, we are doing a ton to make sure that we have opportunities, especially for home ownership. And I loved how you started the show because you talked about the pattern of build out historically across the country and across the state, where they had small homes, and those were in response to generational forces and moments, wars, et cetera. And that's how Ogden was built out. And we are a built out city, and most of our existing housing stock actually meets the definition of a first time home. And so Ogden sits in an interesting position opportunity wise to transition those homes out of corporate and often out of state or out of country ownership that are put into the rental market and transition them into ownership opportunities for our people. And if we can do that, and we're thankful for the help of the legislature for the tools they made available to us, that's the approach we're taking, in addition to having 2,100 housing units that are under construction, another 800 that are approved. We've got 300 currently in review. That's 3,100 housing units. And the further we go, the more they are leaning toward and tipping into the ownership opportunity product. So we've got a lot of different approaches that we're taking to make sure that we provide opportunity for people to own a home and build upon the family dream.
Mayor, when you talk about sort of the ability to do this, our legislature seems to have, in the last several years, made a concerted effort to make housing an important part of their agenda. And I think even nationally, we're talking about the ability of first-time home buyers. What kind of support do you feel like you're getting, both from the state and nationally, as you consider these opportunities for builders and for buyers to get into these first-time homes?
Well, they've given us tons of support, and I credit the legislature for making tools available to all cities, including Ogden. And that's the work, and our responsibility now is to make use of those tools. And that's what we're doing with our legacy housing stock. They made available a tranche of funds that we can use to work with third-party partners through RFP to purchase homes, stabilize them, and then put them back out into the market for ownership opportunity. They've made first-time home ownership zones available, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of tools that local communities now have access to that are currently in use across the whole state, and they deserve credit for making those tools available to us, but also they deserve credit for listening to local communities and local cities, because the dynamic we have here in Ogden is different than the dynamic they have down in Utah County or parts of Salt Lake County, or even parts of Weber County. We are a built-out city, and that's different than some of the trends in West Weber County, for example, where they do have room to build more homes. We don't have that kind of room here, so we've got to make do with what we have, right?
Ogden Mayor Ben Noldowski on the line with us. And Mayor, when we wrap up with you in just a moment, we're going to bring on the Granite School District, who is floating what I think is a really unique idea on housing for perhaps for teachers and staff. We're going to explore that with them in just a moment. But before we go, just put this in, mom worried about 20-something-year-old kids being able to buy their first home terms. Kind of give me the lay of the land in Ogden. How expensive is expensive and how cheap is cheap when it comes to first-time homes? Like, what's the price range? What can somebody get in at and for their first-time home in Ogden, just in general? I don't expect you to go to run to the MLS right now and start reading off home prices, but just anecdotally from what you know as mayor.
Okay, so if you're thinking about Ogden, you're living in Ogden, you're thinking about the future. Our median sales price is under $400,000. That's compared to, for example, Salt Lake, that's under $500,000, just under $500,000. So we're significantly cheaper. Our average home size is almost half of what it is throughout the rest of Weber County. Our median lot size is significantly smaller. So we've got a much more dense build-out pattern, which is kind of what we're trying to replicate in other parts of the state. Over 80% of the affordable housing in the county here is in Ogden City. So Ogden is a place where the cost of housing continues to be a struggle and a pinch point for families. In terms of context and comparative analysis, we're in a much better position than a lot of the rest of the state. But we have down payment assistance opportunities. Just yesterday, I got a call for a developer that wants to talk about opportunities for police and fire to have access to first-time homes before anyone else. And that's the same kind of approach that Granite School District's probably taking for teachers. We've got to have those first-line employees and people that build our city and our future stabilized. So those are the kinds of things that we are making available, and there's still more to come, a lot more, and we're not going to stop because this is too important to ignore.
Thank you. That was Ogden Mayor Ben Nadolski, and Debbie, I'm a Weber County relative.
Okay. A resident.
Resident, so he's my guy. I like him. He's done a good job up there. Let's shift gears to where I used to go to school, Granite School District.
Yeah, that's right. Greg and I diving into this Deseret News report written by Lisa Riley Roche, and she's citing this study, a new analysis by a research company, and Caitlin sent me the name of this, so I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. Construction Coverage. Which ranked Utah the 8th worst state in the nation to find a home priced for first-time home buyers. So we're looking for solutions. And Ben Horsley, the Granite School District Superintendent, what I saw last night come across one of my feeds really piqued my interest. What is Granite School District floating in terms of employee housing ideas?
Well, interestingly enough, as we have had to look to close, we've closed 10 schools in the last 7 years due to declining enrollment. A lot of that actually has to do with home affordability or purchasing larger homes in newer areas that are much cheaper, right? So we have lost a number of students over the last 20 years, and we have these vacant properties. So the consideration, and we've looked to some of our city and municipal partners to then partner potentially with the developer to create housing opportunities for our own employees that match the demographics of the neighborhood and kind of fit in with the preservation of open space. We're not going to be able to do this with all of our properties, but we're looking at a few options.
So are there schools that can be converted into housing? Is that what we're talking about, or maybe district offices, or what are we talking about here, Ben?
Well, for instance, we have an elementary that was closed a few years ago. It's on 6 acres. We're looking at tearing down the building and actually putting in some open space and a park space for the community with the help of the city, and then putting in about 40 townhomes that would be subsidized and allow for lower income individuals such as our employees. So it would be first offered up to our employees kind of as an attraction and help save our taxpayers money. A lot of our employees can't afford to live in the neighborhoods that they serve, and that's unfortunate. So we're hoping this would not only be a good asset to the community and preservation of open space, but attract new and quality employees to our district as well.
So just by way of example, I mean, what school are you talking about? I know this is just an example. You have other properties, but what school were you just referring to?
I'd rather not say.
Yeah,
We're still
probably
in
doesn't want to say that. Right.
Yeah. I'm not at liberty to say at this point in time.
All right, all right. I'll let you pass on this for now, but I bet you're going to get a call from other reporters after this conversation. Ben Horsley, the Granite School District Superintendent, talking about the potential to convert closed schools in the district. Of course, Granite is pretty central in Salt Lake County into housing by actually tearing down the school and then putting
using the property that's owned by the district, and so that makes a lot of sense.
So what would these sell for? Would they be would they be sold to teachers and staff first? Would they get first dibs on this, and would they be sold or rented properties, Ben?
These would be rented properties at this point in time. We think the model, and we're trying to work with a consultant to make sure that we're doing this the appropriate way. We've never done something like this before, so we need a little bit of help. We're not housing experts, and we want to make sure that taxpayers' resources are being utilized in an appropriate way. And so it's anticipated that these would be rented. That would all be done through a private developer who has a land lease for a certain period of time before the property reverts back over to the district or the lease gets extended.
Ben, I've got a brick from the old Granite High School, so when you're ready to start building, I'll deliver it on site. But I do want to say this. It's got to be important. I think something you said really struck home, to have your employees and teachers in the area. I mean, that makes so much sense, so they can see what's happening with the community. They can be involved with what their kids are doing after school hours and sort of have a feel for what's going on in that particular area. That's got to be a draw for the teachers too, who are considering a job in the Granite School District.
Absolutely. I mean, when you can't offer $1 million to be a teacher, you're looking at making sure that we have the best benefits and other things that would attract them to come and be a part and make Granite a destination district to attract and retain the highest, best talent that we can find. And so, again, because so many of our own employees can't afford to live in the communities that they serve, that would certainly be an attraction and provide some stability within those communities in and of themselves.
But I'm also hearing this other component of this, and that the school district would be in the real estate market.
Well, I think our component of this is we have some land, and we'd like to look at a long-term lease, partnering with an appropriate city, and there's a couple of cities that we've had some initial conversations. This idea is still in its infancy. I mean, really not even in diapers yet. So the idea is that a private developer would come and do all the actual business work and run the facilities and maintain the properties in and of themselves. And then after a certain period of time, that would revert back over to the district, but our employees would stand to benefit. And again, taxpayers would benefit by making sure that these properties, some of the space is retained and developed in an appropriate way.
Ben Horsley, thank you for joining us this morning. Debbie, you know, it does make sense as we consider our school districts in Utah that there's so much ebb and flow. You know, everybody wants to go into Granite School District, and then everybody wants to go into Jordan School District, and then people moving away, that you can keep those properties, keep them involved with the community, and maybe convert them into housing for the teachers. So the fact that we're doing something like this, pretty innovative. I think that's a really interesting approach.
It is. It's interesting, no doubt. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Oh. I have to. I'm going to camp on this overnight and really think about this, because I'm thinking about, okay, we're out of time, but there's a lot I'm thinking about. Like, for example, you bring in more families, and now you need another school. You know, the more which, you know, I know we have a lot of properties across the Wasatch Front as we look at schools and closing. And so this is an innovative idea. I just have to sort through it in my brain a little bit. So we're not on the air tomorrow because we've got this amazing give-a-thon for the children at Primary Children's Hospital. But perhaps by Thursday, how about you do that? Do me a favor. You think about it. I'll think about it. We'll get Holly to think about it. Maybe we all regroup here later in the week and kind of talk about it again.
I'm on board.
All right.
Thought about it.
All right.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day.
He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right when it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors. It's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour: the Hiram Dam in Cache County is getting a facelift worth $116 million. Through the 1984 Reclamation Safety of Dams Act, the U.S. Congress pays for the cost up front.
The South Cache Water Users Association is going to be responsible for 15% of the cost of that construction, and taxpayers will pay for the other 85% of that.
That's Provo Area Office Manager for the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, Rick Baxter, who says the spillway over the Hiram Dam is being demolished and rebuilt over the next 4 years. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump has spent the morning talking to Republican senators who aren't so sure about his big, beautiful bill. More from ABC's Karen Travert.
He is trying to make a personal appeal to several of them by reaching out directly. We know he met with Senator Rick Scott of Florida. He was on the phone with Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. And we are getting word that he's also talked to Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, who has been very critical of this legislation.
The bill narrowly passed the House, but senators either don't like the cuts in the bill or they believe the cuts don't go far enough. Your money at this moment: Green Day on Wall Street, Dow up 228 points. Coming up back in the 70s today, KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 11:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio.
I'm really excited to be with
FM.
y'all tomorrow and all of our staff here at KSL News Radio all day long. For the Give-a-thon. That's right. It's time for the Primary Children's Hospital KSL Give-a-thon. And it's going to be big this year, as it is. Oh, you guys always outdo yourselves. So here's how you can get started today by helping out the kids at Primary Children's Hospital. You can visit kslkids.com. Or I think this is a really super easy thing to do. Like, if it's safe to do so, you just text the word SMILE right now to 57500, SMILE to 57500, and we'll set you up with a way that you can become a smile maker for as little as $15 a month. So you can help the kids out at Primary Children's Hospital for as little as $15 a month. And as always, our thanks to J&J Garden Center for being our Smile Maker sponsor, and we'll be with you tomorrow all day long for the KSL Give-a-thon.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a chronic migraine clinical trial. Located just minutes from Salt Lake City with plenty of free parking, this study is open to children ages 12 to 17 who suffer from chronic migraines. To pre-qualify, your child must have 8 or more migraine attacks each month and at least 15 headache days. They should also currently be taking or have taken oral medication for migraine relief. All study-related visits, tests, and medications will be provided at no cost. Plus, reimbursement for study-related travel may also be available. As a parent, it's never easy to watch your child suffer. This is your chance to help them find relief. For more information, call Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's Pantheon Clinical Research, 385-281-0550. Or visit us online at pantheonclinical.com. Again, that's 385-281-0550. Or go to pantheonclinical.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
We're looking good on the I-15 corridor throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. That is both directions, and no delays showing up right now on the east and west side belt routes. But don't be surprised if you run into construction. That could definitely slow you down on some of the city streets, as well as on Bangerter Highway in Riverton and Taylorsville. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny and 76 degrees today. Nearly the same tomorrow with a high of 79. Temperatures will slowly rise the rest of the week. Right now it's 68 and sunny. I'm Jessica Lowell from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
I've been listening to Uinta Triangle. It's our brand new podcast, KSL podcast, with host, journalist, investigative reporter Dave Cawley, who's back in studio with us today. I listened to last week's episode about, it was an Australian trekker. His name was Eric Robertson. He vanishes years ago in the Uinta Mountains. And then our friend and colleague here at KSL at Broadcast House, Greg, goes back in time to retrace the steps of Eric, his passion for basically hiking, but more like walking these really, really expansive trails. And then one year he decides he's going to fly to Utah and start trekking the Uinta Mountains. And Dave's, the way he articulates Eric's journey has just captivated me, so much so that I was cleaning off my workbench last week, listening to the podcast and actually like yelling. Dave's laughing, yelling about, because I love the Uinta Mountains. I love this story. And Dave has me so wrapped up in this story, I'm actually talking to people who aren't really listening to me about it.
And I love the Uinta Mountains as well, but I have not been familiar with this. I'm reading the art. I'm reading Dave's story, and it's fascinating. I've got to find these podcasts and get caught up. This is really, really interesting, and the way that they're produced. And I'm just looking at some of the graphics. I mean, I've got to hook this up.
Yeah. Well, Greg, that just means that we've got an opportunity here. I appreciate you having me in to talk about it. Yeah, Uinta Triangle. You set that up perfectly, Deb. We're at a point in the story now, so we've got this long-running, series, 9 episodes planned. We're at episode 4. And the first 2 episodes, we kind of got the background on Eric Robinson. And episode 3 last week, the one that you were yelling back at.
I was yelling.
We hear the start of the search, right? The first day, the second day of the search. Now, in episode 4 that came out this morning, we are in the thick of it. So you are getting an on-the-ground perspective from the people who are looking from Eric. You're hearing from his wife, Marilyn Kuhlstra, who is on her way to Utah to join this search. Mm-hmm. And then, for a listener like you, Greg, somebody who loves the Uintas but maybe doesn't know this story, kind of woven in, we're now talking about some of the history of the Uinta Mountains, how these trails came to be, some of the conflicts among, different users, hikers versus sheep herders and all that kind of stuff. It's all wrapped up in this episode.
See, when I think of the Uintas personally, I think of the times that we spent a lot of time up there. There's a family cabin up there, very much built in the 1980-ish time frame. You can imagine the cabin, the A-frame cabin on stilts. It's lovely. It's a great getaway, and we spent a lot of time up there with the kids. I think about the trails that we four-wheeled on, the hikes we went on, the fishing that we did as a family. And then the other side of me, the journalist in me, also is very aware of the many, many, many stories that I covered, as did you, Dave, about people who would go into the Uintas on a beautiful day like today, and then the storms would blow in, or they underestimated the capacity of Mother Nature and the impact that she would have on the Uinta Mountains. And so that's why I am probably more so from the journalist in me yelling at just shouting out, like, you can't do that. You just got to, that's how much you have brought me into this story. And I think people who've lived here a long time and know those stories and know the pros and the cons of being in the Uintas will feel this same passion when they're listening to each episode.
There's definitely an element in this story of understand and respect the wilderness, right? Anybody who goes up into the Uinta Mountains, or really anywhere wild, has to take that moment to pause and question, okay, what am I going to do if something goes wrong here? And, part of the storytelling of this podcast was I threw a backpack on and I went out solo for, 8 days trying to walk the same trail that Eric Robinson did.
And I was yelling, don't do that, Dave. I was like, what are you doing?
My own mother was yelling the same thing.
Okay, good.
But it's with an understanding that, there are people who crave that kind of adventure. And for some people, an adventure is an afternoon walk around Mirror Lake, and that's great, right? You can come to this podcast with that level of understanding and be fine. There are people who want to go out for, weeks, months at a time on long trails, and hopefully they find something from this story too.
I'm sorry, Greg, I just want to ask, because I was listening to the part where you were hiking. Were you feeling like you were getting altitude sickness?
So at the very start in episode 3, you hear me talk about crossing the first pass on this trail, and I was not doing good.
I know, and I was thinking, because I feel like I've experienced altitude sickness, because we go up there and I'd be like, I don't feel good. I just don't feel good. I just don't feel good, and can figure out. We never had a diagnosis, but I kind of wondered if it was altitude. So I thought about that.
It can happen, right?
And that's scary.
12,200 feet on this pass, and your legs are shaky. And I sat down, going, "Oh gosh, if I've got altitude sickness, that's the end of the story right here. I've got to go home." The flip side of that is maybe I just don't have my trail legs yet. And so, knowing your body and how far to push it, those are all things that, people who do this kind of adventuring have to deal with.
And what attracted you to this particular story and this particular individual? What was it about that made you think, I want to find out more about this?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've asked myself that so many times, Greg. Really, for me, what it came down to was when I first met Eric's wife, Marilyn. Now Eric's from Australia. I don't know Marilyn. I had a phone conversation with her at one point as this was all unfolding, and the way that she talked about his experience level and all the preparation he took, it really struck a chord for me, because I thought, Eric's a guy like myself. I could see myself very much in the same position, and in talking to Marilyn, I'm wondering how my own family would react if something bad happened to me. And over the course of time, she and I talked more and more about this story, and I learned more about Eric and his life and what brought him here. I just became fascinated, and I saw myself as a conduit for her to be able to bring some of this understanding of these mountains and some of the dangers and risks, and explain it to her as an Australian that, I as a Utahn understand, she probably doesn't know. So that's, I think, probably the best way for me to answer that question.
Dave, you said 9 episodes. We're on episode 4. I haven't listened today, but this is my scheduled listening session is Tuesday afternoons on my drive home from Broadcast House. But remind our listeners how they can listen for free.
Oh, thank you. That's what I needed to know.
Yeah,
where do I find this?
Absolutely.
Where do I find it?
Like our new follower, Greg Scortis, needs to know. Yeah.
So depending on where you like to listen, if it's music or whatever, Apple Podcasts is super easy. Spotify, you just search Uinta Triangle, UINTA Triangle. Or go to uintatriangle.com.
Yeah, it's just really great work. I mean, so well produced, so well researched, and I just look forward to every Tuesday knowing that I get to listen to another episode. It is my homework assignment, but it doesn't feel like it. And I got to find something else to clean out and like yell. And it's really, really well done. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate you talking about the Uinta Mountains, because I think a lot of people feel the same way about the Uintas that I do, and you do, and Greg does.
Oh, they're magical. They're magical.
They're magical. But like the journalist in me always says,
with that little twist of
there's danger.
Yeah, I know.
There's danger to them as well, and you do a very good job of walking us through all of that. So, Dave Cawley, investigative journalist, and also creator and investigator for the Cold podcast. Now with this different project, but just done to that same level of production value that you always put into everything. So thank you so much. I'll be listening to episode 4 on the way home, and then I'll text you later. And
that sounds good.
He's also a mega hiker. 8 days. I gotta listen to this too.
Yeah. Good work, as always. Straight ahead. A brand new survey just dropping from AAA. I know them because I call them every time I have a flat tire, but they also look at lots of other curious information regarding our cars and other aspects of our lives. And they're talking about the interest in electric vehicles. And Greg, you're an EV owner.
Yes, a 3-time EV owner.
3 times?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to pick your brain about this new survey. I'll just give you a little taste of it. Fewer Americans are interested in EVs.
Sign me up for that one.
Let's dive into that next.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. With over 5 decades of experience, the Boyer Company has continued to transform the landscape of Utah and beyond by creating vibrant spaces that foster innovation, commerce, and community growth. President and real estate developer Nate Boyer joins us with more.
At the Boyer Company, we take pride in our role as one of the Western U.S.'s leading real estate developers and managers. For over 53 years, we've been shaping communities with a diverse portfolio spanning office, retail, industrial, medical, residential, and government properties. Since 1972, we've developed 48 million square feet of commercial space and currently manage over 26 million square feet with a focus on long-term value. Our work includes some of Utah's most iconic projects, such as 201 South Main, the Gateway, Business Depot Ogden, and the District Shopping Center. We've also been instrumental in shaping Silicon Slopes, delivering 15 tech headquarters that fuel innovation. Recent milestones include leasing 2.5 million square feet of industrial space and developing multifamily projects, including build-for-rent townhomes across thriving communities. Visit BoyerCompany.com to learn more about our commitment to building spaces where people live, work, and innovate.
The Boyer Company's commitment to quality and innovation has positioned them as a leader in real estate development. With transformative projects shaping Utah's landscape, Boyer continues to drive growth, ensuring a bright future for the community and beyond. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
It's springtime in the Rockies, and it's time to apply Revive Organic Soil Treatment. A Revive treatment with fertilization, aeration, and good watering is the key to building stronger roots for a healthy, lush green lawn. Revive fertilizes and moves water and nutrients deeper into the soil. Take advantage of spring storms with an application of Revive now. Protect yourself from drought later this summer and skyrocketing water costs. With Revive, if you water 2 times a week, it's like watering 4. Apply Revive Organic Soil Treatment today. It works.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I was not expecting to read this headline. But our producer, Caitlin, came in here, just about an hour ago, Greg, and handed us this from AAA. It says, fewer Americans interested in electric cars, according to a new survey. And we also have some data that shows across the board, EV sales are falling. You're an EV owner. Are you surprised by this?
I'm not, and I'll tell you, I was up to 3 electric vehicles at one point, and we took a step backwards.
Do you have enough plugs in your house for all
Well,
this?
that was part of the problem, but we finally got to the point where we had to have a gas car. And I hate to say it because I was trying to be progressive and drive electric cars. I drive one every day to work. But when we travel a little bit outside the Wasatch Front, notwithstanding the range that they all brag about, it just gets to the point, Debbie, where you're trying to find a charging station. There are gas stations everywhere.
So maybe in the beginning, it sounds like you gave it some leeway.
Yes.
I know it's going to be hard because this whole new concept is really, it's just starting up, and eventually it's going to take hold, and there's going to be more charging stations peppered around the state of Utah and beyond. And so I'll give it a pass for now. But as time wore on and you weren't seeing these electric vehicle charging stations pop up all over the place, did that become part of the equation in terms of like, we need to pare down how many of these, our litter of EVs that we own?
Yeah, and another thing about these charging stations is they're not like service stations where there's a person working and selling snacks. And
What are they like?
They're almost just like a random spot. where you just pull up in a parking lot and there's these chargers. And the problem with that is this. They're not particularly well maintained. So you can drive and you're running out of fuel and you think, oh, boy, I've got to get to this charging station. You get there and somebody's busted it up. Seriously, they and I'm not being critical of any particular group that puts these charging stations up, but sometimes they're
It's like when you pull it off the road at a rest stop and you find out that the bathroom has been vandalized or something like that.
Yes.
Just if somebody comes along and does something they shouldn't, which is, criminal, commits a crime or whatever, and to destroy something. But what you're saying is that's the last thing you need when you're running out of charge, is to pull up and find the thing hanging by a thread.
Right, or that somebody's run over the nozzle and so it doesn't fit in your vehicle anywhere. I mean, and more often they work, more often they're great. You also can't do the 10-minute fill-up. I mean, it's a 45-minute fill-up, or at least 30 minutes.
Can we pause and come back to that in just a moment? Because I have a little something that I want to add to that aspect of this. But this AAA survey said the percentage of consumers indicating that they would be unlikely or very unlikely to purchase an electric vehicle went up from 51% to 63%. So it sounds like when people are asked this question, more and more they are saying they're either unlikely or very unlikely to purchase an EV.
And it's a continuing trend because in 2022, 51% were unlikely, then 53%, then 63%. We're holding at 63% of vehicle purchasers who are saying they are unlikely or very unlikely to purchase an electric car.
And I think part of it has to do with, somebody like me who I bought a hybrid. I wanted to buy something that wasn't, completely gas dependent. I mean, I have to fill it up, but it gets me way more gas mileage. It works. It fits my lifestyle. But I go to a gas station and I pump, 88 or whatever it is, gasoline into my car. I don't have to go find a plug somewhere and plug in. But I think what's happening now, maybe I'll just speak for myself, is I hear stories like that and I'm like, I thought maybe I would start with an electric golf cart and then eventually move up to some sort of an EV that has a trunk and all the, doors and for all the things. But I hear that and I'm like, as a single woman, do I want to go find a charging station?
Especially
maybe
at the times you come to work, right?
Right. Maybe it's a little too remote for my taste, for my safety. And I find out maybe it's broken, and then you tell me now I got to sit there for 45 minutes.
So as commuter cars, they're great. I would say this.
Okay.
I live in the Ogden Valley. From there to KSL is about 45 miles. That's easy. I don't have to charge. I can get home and back every time, no problem. So in that respect, Debbie, it's the perfect vehicle. But if you're driving, sometimes I'll have court in St. George or Beaver or the Uinta Basin, and you have to think about it the night before. Where am I going to fill up? You have to look it up a little bit and say, okay, can I get there and back? And if so, where am I going to have to stop in the meantime? And hopefully that station is working. I mean, I still use it. I still drive my electric vehicle 99% of the time, but I bought a gas vehicle for those instances where I'm like, it's a little dicey. It's bad weather or late at night. I think I just want to drive my gas vehicle.
Greg Skordas in with me today. He's going to take over the microphone along with our friend Holly Richardson of the Desert News. She's also a former Utah lawmaker, served up on Capitol Hill, and she's the editor of Utah Policy. You two take over on Monday, starting at 9 a.m.
It's coming right up.
I know, and I'm excited to listen, likely from my sofa, just so you know.
Right.
At home, listening to the two of you talk about the important topics of the day. And this is one I think is actually pretty important to talk about because we have seen EV sales, according to the Wall Street Journal, dropping off as AAA just came out with this new survey that says fewer Americans are interested, according to their survey, in electric cars. Across the United States, the Wall Street Journal says EV sales fell at about a rate of about 5% in April. And it really is like declines across the board. They're saying declines were from Kia. They're seeing declines in Hyundai EV sales, Ford, and then Tesla. I read a lot about Tesla lately. Their sales reportedly dropping as well. So where do we go from here? I mean, I do like the idea of EVs when they're your EV.
Yeah, I think.
So how do you get me on board?
In rural Utah, it's going to take a minute. I mean, my son lives in California. He drives an electric vehicle, and there's stops everywhere. It's never a problem. He always knows he can stop somewhere. But in rural Utah, they just don't have it set up yet. I mean, it's exponentially better than it was when I bought my car 5 years ago. Then you were like sweating bullets all the time.
Really?
So there are
you had a
stops,
lot of range anxiety back then.
Or just drive your gas vehicle. Now I can get, KSL sent me up to Boise a few times. I've been down to southern Utah a few times. I know where the stops are. I know I can make it. I know it's not a problem. But I have to think about it before I go. And you don't have to think about that when you're driving a gas vehicle. Because you know every 10 miles on the interstate or even the back roads, you're going to find something.
I had my own range anxiety not too long ago in my hybrid. Again, runs on gas. I can stop at any gas station just like anybody else and fill it up. No big deal. But we had an extended trip recently because we lost a tire on the trip, my daughter and I coming back from Arizona. And so that extended our trip by about 5 hours. And we arrived in southern Utah late at night, a small town. And the gas pump at one gas station was out of order. And we were running very low. We were getting into the fumes department, and I was starting to feel the anxiety well up.
Right.
And then we went to another gas station, and again, they said, the pump is out. I don't know. They were having a shortage of gas deliveries. We found one not too far up the block. But I thought, how would I feel if this were an EV and I didn't have 4 or 5 gas stations in town to choose from? Trust me, I was thinking, we're going to have to get a hotel tonight.
And the next station might be 30 miles away. I mean, that's when it gets spooky.
Yeah, that definitely was a wake-up call, and also kind of gave me some compassion for how you must feel driving the EV. But maybe these electric filling stations, these charging stations will start to pop up more and more for people like you.
I'll always have an electric vehicle. I like it for the most part, but I'll always have a gas vehicle too.
Straight ahead, Maria's up next. Our sort of all-new show. She's several weeks into this now, Midday with Maria Chaleos from noon to 3 every single day right here on KSL News Radio. She's going to look into renters who are looking for a place to rent in Salt Lake City, need to make around how much a year to afford it? Maria will tell you straight ahead.
Imagine waking up every morning with a smile you're proud of. No more hiding, no more pain. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's Best of State winner for 3 years in a row, has helped thousands of people ditch the dentures and say goodbye to missing or broken teeth. Their expert team specializes in giving you a permanent, natural-looking smile with dental implants that feel and function just like real teeth. With over 2,000 five-star Google reviews, their patients say it best.
Dental implants gave me my life back. I feel confident again. I feel like I can be myself.
There was no way I was